In the shadows of a past we've known, two souls lost, but we found our way home. Through the whispers of doubt we learned to stand. With a love so bright we've walked hand in hand. You cracked the walls with your laughter so free. I'm the strength in the storms, we're a symphony. With every step we rise above the pain, breaking generational chains. We're born again. We're the fire lighting up the night. Together we shine, it's our hearts in flight. With notes to self, we're writing our song. In this world of chaos, we know where we belong. Oh, we're changing lives, breaking through the fear. A power couple, together we're here. From the ashes of yesterday, we draw our strength. With courage as our armor, we'll go any length. You remind me of the light when the darkness creeps. In your eyes there's a promise, a love that deeply keeps. No more chains can bind us, we've learned to heal. In the depths of our hearts lies the power we feel. We're shining the truth, letting the world see. Together, forever, just you and me. We're the fire, lighting up the night. Together we shine, it's our hearts in flight. With notes to self, we're writing our song. In this world of chaos, we know where we belong. Oh, we're changing lives, breaking through the fear. A power couple, together we're here. Through the storms we've weathered, we've lost and we've won. Every tear, every laugh has brought us to one. In a world full of shadows, we'll light up the street. With every story shared, we make broken hearts beat. We're the fire, lighting up the night. Together we shine, it's our hearts in flight. With notes to self, we're writing our song. In this world of chaos, we know where we belong. Oh, we're changing lives, breaking through the fear. A power couple, together we're here. So let them whisper, let the doubts come and go. We're breaking free, and they'll see us grow. With love as our weapon, we'll carry the flame. In this dance of life, we'll never be the same. Together we're stronger, together we'll rise, writing our story beneath the vast skies.
Hey everyone, welcome. I think we figured out how to play our song now, finally. So hope you guys liked it. When we first heard it, we did a lot of tears. We were so tired. Both of us were exhausted. And I was in my bathroom getting dressed, and Cory was in taking a nap on the couch. And all of a sudden he comes into the bedroom with eyes welled up with tears. And of course I'd already been crying. And he was like, "Did you hear this song? Where did she get this song?" So hopefully you guys liked it. She did such a great job, I thought. Oh,
hello, Oklahoma.
yeah. So I'm hoping, yeah, so we're trying to figure out, I'm still like putting a video together because I want to put a video together of Cory and I and just how we started and to that song.
All of our pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So how is everybody today? I'm like really excited about doing this book club today because I feel like there is so much to talk about these chapters, and we are actually going to we're going to cap it at 2 hours because last time was just way too long. And so what we'll do is we'll get it through as much as we possibly can because we definitely like to talk. And then, but we have 5 chapters, but let's see how we can get through it all. But we want to remind everybody that to do your healing work. And so if you are a human with a human body, then you have experienced some level of trauma, and we really highly recommend everybody get started on that if you can. So yeah, thanks. So Blessed Canadian said the song should be played before every live. So moving, got me in all the feels. Yeah,
Yep.
I know it really did us too.
Yeah, it was an awesome song.
Yeah, and I thought that might be like a good. We'll go live a couple minutes early every time so that as people log on, and then play the song while we're going live. But you can hear us talking in the background if we're not careful. So, okay, this book. Who's excited for Sister Wives to start this week? I mean, yeah, because we have Special Forces starts on Thursday. And are you excited for that one?
Yeah, Robin's not in it, so it'll be good.
Oh my gosh. And then
but I guess I'll hear him talking about how amazing she is. So
yeah, and then Sister Wives comes on Sunday. There's a creator on TikTok, and I was watching her video last night, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the last Sunday we're gonna be able to go to sleep before 11 p.m." And I understand that because it doesn't play here until 11 o'clock at night. But I heard it plays earlier on Disney or Discovery Plus, which we have Discovery Plus right now. So yeah, so yeah. Oh, thank you. DJ Tag says, first time I had heard this on your channel, I cried too. Thank you. Yeah. Our daughter, I said to her, how did you do that? So we don't have copyright issues or anything like that because she actually bought an AI editor and put in all of what she felt like was the description of us. And which that, of course, is what made us cry even more because that she sees us that way. And yeah, and then created it. So yeah, we've been really blessed with our kids. Our kids are amazing. But somebody says, but who put Robin's kids to sleep when he did Special Forces? That's funny. NyQuil did. Oh my gosh. I hope not. That's horrible. No. But yeah, I'm really excited about tonight because we when we're preparing for this, we actually listen to it on audio. And then, of course, you guys know the drill. Then I highlight the hell out of the book and we go through everything and I write into the lines and chapters about what we're talking about. So these couple of chapters this one got me a little heated, some of the stuff that Cody says to her, Christine, in a couple of these chapters. So I've heard these words before. I've watched my dad say them to my mom. I heard them personally.
It's typical. It's a line that they give each wife as they're putting them out to pasture. So,
and what's sad is she's getting put out to pasture while she's still pregnant.
Yeah,
like it's so messed up. So yeah. Oh, Donna says, feeling jealous as we have no start date in the UK for the new season and cannot find special forces over here. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. No, but yeah.
Well, welcome all you heathens that didn't get raptured. I didn't either. I know you guys are all surprised that I'm on here. So thought I'd be taken up. Probably not.
I'm so curious where this rapture thing came from. I was talking to Cory about it this morning as we were, just waking up, and then he went into this really long story about how the rapture thing even came about. So I'm like, we should make a video on that because the rapture is not part of the Bible, apparently.
Well, I don't know to tell you the truth, but it's definitely not part of AUB teachings. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mormon teachings?
Yeah, I don't think it's any part of their teaching. So,
yeah.
If the rapture was going to happen, this is where the Mormons kind of shoot themselves in the foot, where it's like, if the rapture happens, it's only going to be the Christians that go up there. But we're Christian, but we don't believe in the rapture. So
yeah,
they might. Somebody within the Mormon Church might believe in the rapture or the AUB, but our family was never taught about it.
Yeah,
just the end of the world. So.
Yep. And wanted to thank Katie, Cory's little sister. Katie's on here and she mods for us. So if you guys have any questions that maybe we don't answer, Katie can hopefully answer those for you. So we're going to start tonight on chapter 11, and it's called You Have to Meet Her. She starts.
Go.
What'd you say?
Or you don't.
Or you don't have to meet her. But she starts the chapter 11 that she was perfectly fine not getting another sister wife. But Janelle and Mary both wanted another sister wife. And so she talks about what was interesting. I actually hadn't thought about this until I was watching a couple things on TikTok or online, and they were saying, oh, Christine keeps dropping the little Easter eggs on here. And because we haven't watched the whole show, I didn't know that some of these were Easter eggs. But now that I'm aware of it, I'm trying to pay attention to it. And so she talks about how they were hoping for another sister wife, possibly a soulmate. So I thought that was really funny because I really feel like that was one of the Easter eggs that she's talking about. But that were like her grandpa's wives. And I think that in my experience, we immortalize people who have passed on. And so I knew personally some of her grandpa's wives, and they were wonderful. They were wonderful women, but I don't know that they were all best of friends. But we try to immortalize people that have passed on and immortalize like the way that they were and who they were and how they talked to us and all that stuff. So I thought it was just funny. So I think that was a little stab at Robin when she said,
absolutely was.
Yeah. When she was like, yeah, we were hoping to get another soulmate. And that she talked about going 16 years without having another wife. And that they had gone from growing in from young women into young mothers. And there is something to be said about that when you're in the muck and the mire with people and you're the one doing the hard work, and you are, you've got these women who go through this. There's a lot of pain and anger that can be held on with that. And there's also a lot of hope and sisterhood that can be created out of that. I think it just depends on how much healing work you do along the way. I think when we all do our healing work, then some of the damage and some of the hurt can be changed and can be transmuted into a sisterhood. Yeah. So she's talking about, because she no longer filled the void. She felt like Christine felt like her position in the family when she first came in was being a mediator. And now she no longer, a peacemaker. Mm-hmm. And then her and Mary kind of had a falling out, and she didn't feel like that was her position anymore. And so maybe Mary and Janelle were hoping to have another wife come in to create a little bit more equilibrium. And, or she says perhaps like her, they felt really lonely in that big, huge Lehigh house. And that's the thing. I feel like sometimes we can be the loneliest in a crowd. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sad. But another little thing that I noticed is that she puts in here in December 2009, they were in talks for a reality show. And Cody and Mary went on a date at a church event. And after meeting but she makes sure that she puts in there that they were already in talks with the reality show. And that after meeting Robin there and talking to her, Mary was ready for Robin to join the family. Robin was 30, Cody was 40. That's very common. Yeah, blessed be the...
That's a young age. That's a small age difference within the AUB too. So
It is.
it's
What's
only
the age
10
difference
years.
between your parents?
A lot.
19 years.
19 years. Yep.
Yep.
So 10 years is nothing.
Yep.
It's a blink of
Corey's
an eye.
dad is 19 years older than his mom. So
Yeah.
there's a pretty big gap there.
And she wasn't the youngest wife. So
I know she wasn't the youngest wife. No, I think that the youngest wife was how many years younger than him? 24 years?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So 10 years really, I mean, my ex-husband was 8 years older than me. That felt like a huge gap because I was barely 17 and he was 25. So that did feel like a pretty big gap. But as you get older, I don't think that it feels...
Katie can answer that one probably better.
Oh yeah, Katie's mom's the youngest.
So,
But she talks about there's a lot of confusion online whether Robin was in a polygamous family or not. Christine talks about it in here, and she says she grew up in a polygamous family, but her first marriage had been monogamous. But the divorce had been acrimonious and recent and had been finalized that year. One of the AUB teachings is that you are divorced for a full year before you can get remarried again. I don't know if that attributed to some of the reason that Cody and Robin waited. I highly doubt it, but that is some of the teaching. Some of the recommendations is that they, because you need to have the time to heal
Yep.
through some of that divorce.
work everything out.
Yeah, you didn't wait a whole year though, huh?
I never. Yeah.
You didn't know I was getting divorced
Oh, I'm talking about our divorce. Yeah, I waited a whole year after our divorce.
before we
So,
got
before we
remarried.
got married.
We got remarried 2 years after.
Yeah,
But
I obeyed the rules. So
But yeah, it is highly recommended that you are divorced for at least 1 full year before you can get remarried again. And so I am curious if that did have something to do with them getting divorced. Now that we have now we figured out the comments. Now Corey's going to be lost in them.
yeah,
Yeah, grab me if you read something that you want to put up there. She's talking about how in this section she also talks about how Cody needed the sister wives' approval in order to marry Robin. This is very true doctrine that's taught. That would it be considered doctrine or would it just be
guidance.
guidelines?
Yeah, rules. It's rules that because you have to have every wife on board. Because if you don't have every wife on board, and one wife says no, I don't think this is going to work, that is going to most likely give her the option to get a release later. So yeah, if you have 2 wives on board ready to go and the third one says no, you're taking a risk of losing the third one. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
I'm going to make sure Corey's got his mic right up to his mouth. Yeah. And so, that doesn't always happen. These men don't always care.
These are guidelines. They're not hard, fast rules, depending on how high you're up in the AUB.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, I did go to one of my dad's ceremonies when he married one of his wives. I was in the temple with him when he did that, but my mom refused to come in and she sat outside the door. Not necessarily because she didn't agree with the marriage, but she just didn't feel like she could be in the room with it. And so
and look, 20 years later, she's leaving him. So see, it's a rule.
yeah. Well, so she talks about he needed the sister wives' approval before making a decision about bringing someone into the family. And then he starts talking about his testimony of Robin and essentially a revelation that Robin was supposed to join the family. And so this is what they do. This is what a lot of men do. This is very common. Oh, I see this hot young girl. I like her. All of a sudden, God's talking to me now and saying, yep, this is it. Go for it. Go for it, buddy.
Well, and they're going to get their, what you call it, a revelation or not a revelation. That's nefarious, but testimony. And so then he gets a testimony, and then for them to rub off their rough edges, then they all need to get testimonies too. And so there's probably a lot of pressure on becoming a good sister wife, getting that testimony, because he's got a testimony of this. So.
Right. And so if he has a testimony and you don't as a wife,
Testimony.
then you could be a problem for him. Then you're out of alignment. You need to go pray more. You need to get yourself back into alignment with him because he's already received revelation from God.
Well, and we already know earlier in some of these chapters that she basically got on the phone and ran some other wife off. No, you're not doing this the right way. So I think even Cody learned from that. And so now he's telling.
Maybe he didn't bear his testimony the way he should have at the first.
Well, and she wasn't going around the right way to do it. So now he needed them to. That's why he took Mary to the first get together. That's get her on board, get her being excited about this. And so he's learned from his mistakes. And so this one he really wants in the family. So he's having her do everything that she needs to do.
Right.
To be a good, be able to come back get into the family without getting run off. So. Right.
Right. And so then, and she says Mary was in on it full. She was ready to go, but Janelle was a little bit more reserved. And then, of course, Christine's panicking because she hasn't met Robin yet. She doesn't know who she is. Mm-hmm. And that's very common in the AUB. There, like we've said before, there's about 10,000 members. Cory and I did not know each other while we were members of the AUB. We had seen each other here and there, but I didn't know who he was or anything like that. We didn't actually meet until after we had both left the AUB. So it's very common to not know everyone in the AUB.
Because I was in a low common family and she was in a high.
I was royalty. I still am. You know who my dad is now? So she talks, I should not say things like that. If you don't know who my dad is, he is actually the leader of the AUB now. So for those of you who might be new to our channel or might just be watching book club with us, my dad is the current leader of the AUB. So now I'm kind of like, total royalty.
Yeah.
Didn't know that most of my life, but now I do. Yeah. So then she just talks about how she felt like she was losing her best friend in Cody and how hard that was to see him start falling in love. She talks about how Robin was sweet to her. But it's still hard to watch your husband fall in love. I personally have experienced this. It was extremely hard. It was not a fun thing to go through.
Not with me.
No, with my first husband when he dated a second girl. And that she helped, and then she talks about how the sister wives had created Cody to be the man that he is. And, Robin's talked about this on the show too, that she just wants to thank her sister wives because they helped create Cody to be who he is, which I was like, when she said that. Cody told Robin about the show. This is one of the Easter egg things I think that I'm seeing. Cody told Robin about the show and that TLC would undoubtedly want to film their courtship and that their life would be on full display. And then she talks.
She didn't run.
She didn't run. Like, she did them a favor. I don't care for the way Christine says this kind of stuff because I feel like she discounts herself a little bit in there because she's like, she did us a favor. Like, she didn't run away from us. She wanted to be part of our family. And that, I don't know, that felt a little, because that's what we were taught. We were taught to be so grateful that if someone wanted to join your family, there's a reason that they did. If someone,
you were on the right track.
Yeah.
Your family was on the right track. They were being so righteous from the outside that they wanted to be a part of your family. So that was a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I'm actually going to answer this question really quick. It says, D says, do you know all of your cousins first and second? No. There's 350 first cousins alone. I don't know them all. No, there's no way I could ever. I know a good majority of them because I'm one of the very oldest. So I could look at them and say, oh, I know who your parents are, but I don't know your name. So hell, I didn't even know some of my brothers and sisters' names until they got older.
From my mom's side of the family, yes, I know all my cousins.
Yeah.
So from my dad's side, I've met a couple, and from some of the other mothers, I know the cousins of that's related there, but no, not all of them. So yeah, there's a lot.
It's hard. It's hard to know everyone. There's just too many people. But then she talks about every weekend Cody drove down to St. George. So from Salt Lake to St. George is about 4.5 hour trip. that means he didn't spend any time with their family. I personally think that is so wrong on multiple levels of why I think that is so wrong. A man should never leave his family every weekend like that. He should never have been spending that much time with Robin and her kids. I don't care that she had 3 children to integrate into the family. She should have been coming to the family. Maybe he goes down there once, maybe she comes up once every other weekend or something like that. And that's my own personal experience or preference. I just don't think men should do that.
Well, especially because she was seeing him on her own, maybe with another wife and a kid there, but not with his whole family. And one of the notorious things within the AUB is usually when somebody's single and starting to date, she's dating multiple different families looking in. And so he's probably wanting to occupy that time, to be honest, so that she can't be dating other families within the AUB looking around. So,
Right. And we still don't have the ability to put super chats up on our screen, so I apologize for that. But thank you so much for that super chat. So blessed Canadian. She says, "What do you mean by Easter eggs? I'm confused." So what the Easter eggs? So they just call it it's comments that people have made in the comment section of Sister Wives show. And so Christine is addressing them in the book in a very casual way that you wouldn't really know that that's what she's talking about if you didn't know the comments or what the fans believed about stuff. It's typically something that a writer will do to, if you're an avid fan, then you would know. If you weren't an avid fan, you wouldn't know. And I don't always know. Is that the right way to explain it? What do you think?
I think she's just, when at the very beginning, she was trying to be very neutral, stuff like that. And now she's coming out and basically, I think people are like, when did this all come about? When did TLC, was Robin a part of it before?
Because a lot of the fans believe Robin only became part of the family just because she knew that they were getting a TV show. So then Christine had to put it in the timeline.
Yeah.
Hey, we found out about this in December, and then Robin came around.
Yeah.
So that's like an Easter egg, I guess, where she's confirming what the fans believe.
Well, and it was a balance too, because is she going to want to be shown dating online? But yes, she did, and that's probably a red flag that Christine was having. And things turned out, there was a lot of red flags, and she wasn't willing to look at them because she was trying to be sweet. She was trying to be a good sister wife, and now she's looking at all those red flags. And nope, people have been telling me that I should have been looking at this. Oh, people from the outside, it's so much easier to look from the outside in and see those red flags than being in the relationship and seeing them.
Yeah.
You feel them, but am I just being petty because I'm in the middle of it? So
right. And so, but like one of the things that she said was, and I did a video on this that went viral about soulmates and how you are not supposed to have a soulmate. Mm-hmm. And she starts out this whole entire chapter about sister wives. Hopefully they can find another soulmate and so I feel like Christine kind of, I'm not saying she did that because of my video, but she goes on there and she sees the fans, and I did a video explaining that in polygamy, you cannot have soulmates because that creates favorites. And then you end up having the situation like the Browns have. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're meaning when we talk about Easter eggs. She's just basically heard fan beliefs and she's confirming some of it in the book, which I love her for. I just think she does it so well. But she also talks about how, so this goes right back to what we were saying. Cody's telling the wives, I have a testimony of Robin. I know she's supposed to be in our family, blah, blah, blah. You go figure out that she's supposed to be too. And so then Christine talks about how she went down to St. George with Cody one of the times. And on the way back, she received the strongest testimony that she had ever had that Robin should join the family. And I really struggle with that because we convince ourselves that everything's a sign. Everything has meaning. Everything has purpose. Like, oh, this is God telling me something. And so we convince ourselves when you're, at least in my experience, being raised in a cult, that it's a message from God. So therefore it must be true. And therefore I have the most burning in my bosom testimony. That's what they call it, a burning in your bosom testimony. And she goes on to explain, a testimony in our faith is a belief stronger than you can comprehend. It just hits you in the gut. It's an absolute confirmation. And so that's what they go by, everything. And so to me, I'm like, I feel kind of naughty, but they call it a burning in the bosom. But I'm like, do these men really get that burning in their bosom, or do they get it somewhere else? And that's why it's a testimony, because yeah.
I like that question.
What was
Well, or it's while dating Robin, Cody found out what jealous was. He had to watch her dating multiple people, which is probably the truth. And that's probably why he was going down every weekend, to make sure
to seal the deal.
To seal the deal. Yeah. He wanted to make sure. He didn't want to. So yeah, when he's talking to Mary about, I find that disgusting. It's probably because he has gone through the process of trying to outdate other men within the AUB. So
Yeah. And that's very true. Honestly, yeah. I had a ton of people dating me when I was a teenager. I wasn't serious. We were just, but my ex-husband was 100%, it's going to happen. So he monopolized all my time. And I think that's what Cody did too. I think he monopolized Robin's time. It was a mutual back scratching, if you will, because Robin wanted to be on the TV show and he wanted to ensure that she came into the family. So
and that probably sealed the deal. Got a TV show, probably going to make some money, could be a movie star in your jeans. So
in your
diesel
jeans.
So
yeah. Well, and then she talks about how her testimony with Robin was extremely powerful. And they really do justify any sort of behavior if you have received a testimony. If you have received an absolute knowledge that God wants you to do this, then you can excuse away any bad behavior, because God wants you to do this. And so he wouldn't make it happen if, he wouldn't put this in there if it wasn't supposed to happen. And so you can justify any sort of bad behavior. Then she's talking about how Cody's getting ready to go down to Robin's one weekend, and she's watching him and he's getting all flustered, and she says, "You're in love." And he says, "I am." And he said, in near tears, he was so excited. He says, "I'm actually in love with Robin." And she says, "God, it hurt to watch him fall in love." And it does. I remember feeling that way when my husband was when we were courting another girl and he was falling in love with her. And I was watching that and I was like, what the hell? It sucked.
Well, and then she's the third wife. So she really didn't, well, I guess she might have seen Cody and Mary. She talks a little bit about that, but she didn't feel like
she
they
also
were falling in love.
Yeah. And she didn't have intimate relations with Cody at that point.
No.
It changes everything when you have.
Yeah. And now she's seeing him fall in love, I guess, probably for the first time, which is weird, but.
Right. So now she's having to figure
that out. He's
out.
not a very good actor.
Yeah. And then she's not. Then she talks about how open and honest they were being, talking about it. And I thought that this would help me to get through the process a little bit easier if we talked about things while he was courting this other girl. That we would get through the process a little bit easier. It just made it worse. It was hard to hear. I didn't really want to hear it. And then she says, "Oh, it's, I'm watching you fall in love again." And she said, "Yes, I did say fall in love again," because she thought that he had fallen in love with her. And she felt like Robin could come into the family and help even things out. And she says she thought the whole family had fallen in love with her at first. But this one, I'll go through the book and then I'll highlight things that I want to talk about, but then I'll underline the really important things. And she says, because she had been raised in polygamy, because Robin had been raised in polygamy, she knew how to treat us and what to ask us. She understood that she needed the sister wives' approval to be part of the family, and she worked hard to get our approval. She brought in 3 new children and another baby for Christine that would bring the whole family to 21 people. A reality show, and I can't even imagine how overwhelming all of that was. That had to have been grossly overwhelming. I actually stopped the courtship with my ex-husband and the girl he was courting because I found out I was pregnant again and I didn't want to go through that pregnant. So I actually stopped that courtship. Oh, and it helped that she was 16 and 17 at the time. She turned 17 during our courting process. Again, I'm sorry we can't put the super chats up on the screen, but thank you, DJ Tag. Says, I'm worried about your sister. She seems very stressed this week. Oh, I haven't even watched her videos yet. We've had so much going on.
We'll get on.
My sister has her own, she started her own YouTube channel. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely give it a look. She,
Good enough 444.
yeah, I'll have to go in and check on her. Thank you for that update. I haven't seen her. She's called me a couple things for editing. I'm like, sweetheart, you are 100 miles ahead of me on editing. Cory and I try to just get through it the first round so we don't have to edit much.
Somebody asked the question in here is a while back about Robin growing up in polygamy. Yes, her biological father took a second wife. And then shortly after he took the second wife, probably because he didn't get the first wife's burning in the bosom or whatever, she got a release for abandonment from the biological father. And then she began to date Robin's stepdad. And
Paul Sullivan, yeah.
And then she married him as a second wife. So Paul had the first wife and a family. And then she married Paul and was a second wife. And as far as I know, Paul only had the two wives. So
yeah, so
probably because Alice wouldn't let anybody else become part of the family.
So yeah, so she was Robert Mark's first wife, and then I grew up with his second wife. I didn't even know that was his second wife till we started talking about sister wives. I had no idea that she had married him. But I grew up with her. She lived down the street from us. And, but yeah, then she went and married she married Robert Mark. I always forget his name. Robert Mark is a second wife. And then Alice left Robert and married Paul Sullivan. So yeah, Robin was raised in polygamy. She was raised on the compound in Montana down the street from Cory.
Yeah. And I think they came in when they were young. So she started out as a monogamist until they came into the polygamous group. But she was probably young. She's probably 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. I want to read this one because as being a child in this, Spooky Micah says, and Cody involving their kids in the courtship, I cannot imagine how much of a mess that would cause in someone's mind. It really did because, I was 14 when my dad married his wife with 3 kids. She had 3 kids when she came into the family. And it was like, when he was telling us he was giddy and all sorts of in love with her, and he's like, but you think this is a good idea, don't you? And I don't have the option to say no. Of course I'm going to say yes. Of course I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I like her. Yeah, her kids are great. And so we would do a lot of babysitting for her when she first came into the family because I was 14. Now the child that she had with my dad, the very first one, is a girl, and I adore her and we're really good friends now. But, I'm 14 years older than her, or 15 years older than her. And so it's hard as a child because you want your parents' approval. And even though I felt angry that he was getting another wife when we couldn't afford anything ourselves, I was angry about that. I still wanted my dad's approval. So it's like you put on a smile and say yes, Yeah. Cory, is your friend with Mark's son or Alice's son?
Neither. I was friends with the first wife, Paul Sullivan's first wife's family. And then when Alice came in, I was still friends with the son, but I didn't hang around with family much after that.
Yeah. So then there's this question. Did you know Paul's first wife? Yep.
Still do.
Yeah.
So that's my friend's mom. So
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I like this comment. Dutch just says, Christine probably said she hopes she can get her soulmate because you can't have soulmates. And that was just to put a crink in Robin's world, not to be the favorite. Yeah. Yep. And so that's why I think that when we started reading this book on our way to Montana, I was like, she's so smart the way that she does this because it's very, I love the way that she puts stuff in here, because it's not like this undercutting, like petty, high school, junior high school type stuff, but at the same time she's getting her point across, and I love that.
Organizing it and saying, hey, this is a lot of the stuff that she's saying in here. It's interesting because it's the way we were taught, and so she's kind of letting you know how we were raised, what we were taught.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and we'll point out some more of that, because I'm like,
Yep.
look, she says right here that they had their best foot forward.
Yep.
So now on chapter 12, it says you'll have some great home videos, and they're talking about, when TLC brought the idea to them and they were talking about coming into there. She says, it's easy to look over differences when something so exciting is happening. After 16 years together, we played well off of each other. It was wholesome too, like Leave It to Beaver, except for Mr. Cleaver was sleeping with 3 women and about to sleep with a 4th. The network loved it. And we've said this a dozen times on our channel, that we love, that if anyone could have shown what polygamy was, the good parts of it, it would be the Browns, because they were amazing. They were an amazing family, and everybody loved them. Everyone loved Cody. Everyone loved Christine. I didn't know Janelle that well, but Mary was wonderful too. She's talking about how they wanted to go on the network because there were so many civil rights issues dealing with different lifestyles that were starting to come forth. And back then in 2009, 2010, there was a lot of alternative lifestyles, that's what they called it back then. Alternative lifestyles were really coming to the forefront. And a lot of people were being taught tolerance, or taught acceptance, or taught whatever word you want to call it, for everyone. And so it was really a good time to bring out the polygamy side of it.
yeah, this is where she says in here, talking about the AUB wants, if you will, religious tolerance, for people to just accept their lifestyle, but they also think that their lifestyle is ordained by God and held under a set of keys. And so their lifestyle should be tolerated, but anybody else's lifestyle, including polygamy outside of the keys, is considered sinful. So it's interesting, the hypocrisy that we grew up in, that our lifestyle is unique, the AUB's lifestyle, but it's ordained by God and held underneath religious or polygamous keys, priesthood keys. And if anybody lives any other sort of lifestyle like this, multiple wives, multiple husbands, that is an abomination, because it's not held underneath the keys. And so we want you to accept our lifestyle, but we won't look at your lifestyle.
Be tolerant
yeah,
of
your
yours.
lifestyle is still an abomination, but go ahead and live it whichever way you want. So
yeah. So she talks about just how they get started with TLC, and she says that they were excited. They thought that just their family would watch. She talks about the church, and we've talked about this before on our channel. The church, on the other hand, was not happy about them going public, which cemented their decision to downplay the religious aspect of it. They also wanted to protect other members of the church. A lot of people were very upset about it, and that's, again, why people didn't watch it. We watched season 1, but then we're like, this isn't real. We're not watching. It felt like a waste of time. We didn't watch it. Most people, again, we know, haven't watched it because it was made for TV. A lot of it was made for TV.
It was fake to the way that most of the families were going on. It was a sensationalized version of the AUB. So.
Right. And she talks about how they refuse to talk about their personal, intimate relationships with Cody, even though sometimes it spontaneously happened on set. She's like, we didn't talk about that off set. We didn't really want to talk about it on set. They decided some things were off limits, and it says Tim was really accommodating to that. And we've heard that in the comments before, that all Cody had to say was, we're not talking about that. And then Tim was very, very accommodating. And I think too, maybe at the beginning, some of the producers maybe kissed their ass a little bit, just because they could see the potential of what Sister Wives could be financially. And so they wanted to make sure this family was on board all the time. She talks about some of the people in Principal Voices thought that they should just engage more with local communities, but they were reserved about them doing an actual TV show. And then she goes on to say why. And this is really important because I feel like this is what we were taught our entire lives. It was the threat of exposing other families. That was always a threat. And that some things should not be put out into the world for public entertainment. And this is such a sacred spiritual lifestyle. It should not be put out for entertainment. And she says, what if people began living polygamy without the religious aspect, what Cory was just saying, and the church's view would be an abomination.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. And so it absolutely was, it's casting pearls before swine. It's
sensationalize the way that they live so that everybody thinks that they could be living it, and they can't just live it on their own. They have to pay into the coffers to get into heaven and get their temple recommends and all that fun stuff. And they don't want a bunch of people out there living polygamy then outside of it, because what about those women that could be coming into their group and marrying?
If you're willing to share your husband, I mean, we've got a dozen husbands and not as many women, so come on over here. But a lot of it is just they believe in the sacredness. It's not just living polygamy. They believe in the sacredness about that practice, but you have to do it with the right keys of the priesthood. And this is where you get the
right prophet.
And this is where you get the battles in between these groups. This is where you get one group killing off the other group because you're not holding the right keys. And so therefore we can do blood atonement. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so then Tim tells them that they'll have good home videos. And Christine goes, yeah, but nobody sits down and analyzes home videos. I mean, look at how many creators are out there that talk about Sister Wives. We swore we never would, and here we are. We're talking about it.
Heck, I'm analyzing some of my home videos now too. So.
Oh my gosh, we just found the greatest home video of Cory's family, so we're gonna be putting that together. Katie girl's just a tiny little thing in this in these videos, so we're gonna put some of that out there. Let's see. She talks about how her coping mechanism to deal with all of the craziness going on in their lives, a new baby, filming. I mean, I just can't even imagine emotionally what all that time of their lives created. It had to have felt chaotic. But she talks about, I'm fine. She'll just focus on the next birthday party or the next party. But trying to tell herself and convince herself that she was fine couldn't stop her from breaking down on set. But yeah, so, and then she puts in here again, 6 months before they got married, let's see, Robin dated for about 6 months before they got married. So that's been a lot of question of like, what's the time frame? And it changes all the time. I've heard Janelle say it's been 10 months. I've heard Christine say it's been 6 months. But then again, Christine says here, but Robin came along to the family just after they agreed to do the show. So her timing seems a little calculated.
Well, it's what won her over. The sports car, the show, wives that were willing to put into the Cody Kingdom coffers. So he'd got it all set up. It was great. So.
Yeah. So she talks about how none of them wore much makeup in real life. I never did. I still don't. It was just part of the way we were. My girls don't wear makeup hardly at all. Which I don't know. Nothing against makeup. It's just, you're busy, you're working. She talks about how Robin was usually camera ready, and Cody always liked a full face of makeup. That felt authentic to him. But they all wanted to show up as authentic as they can without giving too much away, I guess, if you would say. And so she just talks about, I think this is so mean. And this is exactly these are words that I have heard my dad say to my mom. So she says they did a photo shoot before they married, or before Robin came into the family. I've seen those pictures. I saw them millions of times before they did Sister Wives. They were all over the place. It kind of went around like a little gossip thing when they did this photo shoot. because no one had ever really done a photo shoot with a potential sister wife before, because sometimes they don't end up getting married. And so they had done this photo shoot. And go ahead.
This was before you could it took a lot of work to take somebody out of a photo. So
back then, Photoshop wasn't as big of a thing as it is now.
So
But then they framed
now
the
they can do, now they can do photo shoots all by themselves. Take the other wives out.
Yeah, can you add this extra wife in here for me? But he talks about the framed photo and then they gave this framed photo to Cody. And the first thing he says is, "Why didn't you have any makeup on, Janelle?" And I'm like, what in the hell? This is such a common, I mean, the first time I tried to choose out of life, I've told this story before. The first time I tried to choose out of life, I was 20 years old. And my mom was there with me all day. And she was 7 months pregnant. And she'd been with me all day long, trying to help me and take care of my children for me while I was, trying to decide if I really even wanted to live or not. And my dad was taking her to a basketball game, a Jazz game that night. Jazz is the #1 basketball team. It's really, back then it was the only major sports team we had in Utah. So it was kind of a big event. And my mom had been at my house with me all day. And she goes home. She's 7 months pregnant. First thing my dad says to her, "Oh, I can tell you cared to get ready for this date. Why didn't you have any makeup on?" And she lost her mind on him. And this is exactly what these men do. It matters what these women look like.
Yeah, you got to have your what was it called? Your queen and your priestess in top beauty if she's going to be hanging onto your arm.
So obnoxious. So 1 minute we're told it's vain, it's self-interested. Like you're not supposed to be that kind of a person. You're just supposed to be this like humble servant to your husband. And then the next minute you're getting chastised if you don't look like a wonderful husband. It's so counter the rules change all the time. It just drives me insane.
Yeah. Somebody said here, Robin must be so pissed that Christine wrote a #1 bestseller. I think she's more jealous that Christine can actually write. So she's working on that right now. See if she can. Christine
can complete a full sentence.
Well, yeah. I don't know if
articulately and.
I don't know if Robin can write. So sorry.
But she talks about looking back. Image was authentic to Cody. The car, the curls, the heavy embroidered jeans. He was true to himself. And that's why I think the world didn't like him, because they saw the materialistic, the surface level. Here they are part of a religion that is supposed to be all about your soul, your eternal life. Mm-hmm. And he's all about the materialistic, surface level.
Well, you've got wives that are working towards that kingdom in heaven, working towards that family, that putting into the coffers and everything. And then Cody, as the priesthood holder, the head, is, well, I really do think that her mom telling the prophet that they couldn't take care of a fourth wife probably wounded that guy so hard.
Oh my gosh.
And so now he has to have the
His
sports
ego
car,
was
the
destroyed.
TV show, all that stuff to show that I could have a quorum of wives if I can afford a quorum of wives. And
now you have to
get the
say what a
top,
quorum of wives is.
well, 7 wives so that he could become the top leader of the priesthood eventually, if he outlived all the other quorum holders. So, but now he's down to 1. So,
Yep. Oh, I liked the way she explained how they would come up with the episodes. She talks about how they would have an event or something, and then they would create all of the episodes around that. A party, sledding, they'd arrange episode that around the events. The season timeline would be based on the big event of that season. So like season 1 was the wedding. So everything they did around that. And then they'd sit down on every episode and do the couch interviews. And the producer would ask us questions about what we had filmed. And I like how smart she is about, like, they're trying to be careful. There's so many things that are never talked about in polygamy ever, because they're just things you just need to handle on your own. They don't need to be brought up in a family discussion. They had a rule against coming into the bedrooms unless it was a filmed conversation, which then they would have pre-talked about, hey, I need to have a conversation with Cody about this or whatever.
Let's clean up the bedroom.
Yeah, let's clean up the bed. What I love about is how authentic, in so many ways, sure, it wasn't real, but in so many ways it was. Like, you'd go into the bedrooms and like Janelle would just have this bookshelf with the random books all over it, and they're all church books that we all had. And half the books would be laying on the ground, the other half would be picked up. It was just so, like, Janelle just had no shits to give about it. And I loved that about her. I loved how authentically real she was about that. Yeah, I like how she explains about how they protected the kids, and that they never let the kids go on the couch by themselves, which I think is really important. The kids all filmed together. Let's see. They tried to keep the kids away from the adult drama. That is very true in polygamy. A lot of kids are not involved in the adult drama unless you're the oldest, like we were.
Yeah, but
and
you
then
can still see it.
You could see it.
As far as they try to keep it away, it's still there. So
yeah. And so it's really hard to not be involved in it when you see it right in front of your face. When somebody's throwing a bag of flour in Cory's family at each other's head, like, that's just, the wives are doing that. So they do try to keep the kids out of stuff, in my experience, but very seldom. Let's see. They talked about everything on the couch. This is where I think a huge part of the downfall of the family came from, is because now all of a sudden you're talking about things on the couch in the interviews that you would never say ever. Like, Christine might go have a conversation with Cody, but she's never going to say, this is what I feel about Robin, or this is what I feel about Mary. And now all of a sudden these couch interviews, they're seeing each other.
And talking about each other and seeing everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, and she says in here, in the early days, they were careful to keep the hard stuff off camera and to provide a united front, which is insane to me, because you know how many hard things there are in polygamy? It's daily. It is daily. And then she says, we wanted it to be realistic and we didn't want to hurt each other, especially publicly. I'm sure that made what came later seem all more surprising. And I do believe that is a lot of why they didn't say a lot, because you're walking on eggshells all the time. You don't know what's going to hurt someone else's feelings. And they were trying to have a united front. They were trying to, not hurt each other's feelings. And so they weren't always honest about things. And I think polygamous people are some of the most dishonest people ever, because they can never be honest about how they feel about anything.
Yeah, and that's not that in their justification. If I'm telling you something it's religious and sacred to me, you're not going to understand it, so I'm not going to tell you about this. But it comes across as dishonesty. It comes across as, oh, you're lying to me. It's just the way. It's just the way we were raised.
Yeah.
It's the way we were told to talk to people from the outside of the AUB, outside of any of the community. And hell, you couldn't even tell how you were feeling inside of your family or inside the AUB, because if it was wrong, then you needed to get re-educated. So,
Yeah. And she talks about how they couldn't always control their emotions, especially when Cody starts talking about how hard he'd fallen for Robin. That is one of the shocking things to all of us, is just how, like, that man just bleh. And then the wives are just like, what the hell, dude? And that's what she said. She cried as Cody acted all infatuated with Robin. Like, I just think it's so insensitive. I think that he was extremely insensitive to his other wives' feelings. Like, oh, well, we're on a reality show. You should just get over that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And then she goes in here. So this goes right. I feel like this is where she's explaining. This is why we say it didn't feel real. She goes, my family was used to just living life without addressing the difficult things, because that is exactly how polygamy is. It's like, I'm not going to tell you what you're doing that hurts my feelings. I'm just going to go pray and get right. And it's the keep sweet. It literally comes back down to the keep sweet part of things. And she says the producers would ask questions that she didn't feel safe to answer. If she said how she felt, it might cause hurt feelings and a fight later. Yep. I know that others worried about the same thing. And we laugh about that so much because Cory and I will watch the show, or even when it very first came out, we're like, oh shit, that's going to be a fight later. Oh no, that's a fight later. But they never talk about that on the show. They never talk about the things that hurt their feelings until they write a book 15 years later. So, and
they might be talking about it in the future episodes. We're on season 4 right now. So,
yeah.
And 19. We've seen 19 and we're on season 4 right now. So they probably do talk about some of the hard stuff later on. So
yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah. Well, then she talks about how once they started doing the show, their budget loosened up, and Cody bought a Lexus, and yeah, which she says it appeared so often in the show that it almost became a character of its own. That is not normal. Like, I think it's such, here's my little rant, it's such bullshit because these men do this. Their comfort is all that matters. And so as long as he's got a comfortable car, it doesn't matter if Janelle's driving a car that barely has a wheel that stays on, or Christine's driving, you know, these, if you watch their cars in this show, every car they drive is a beater. They're old and horrible. Well,
because the wives are not supposed to be dating. They're not in dating mode once they've got a ring on their finger. That's why he's putting a ring on their finger. But he needs to constantly be in dating mode. So, and he is in constant dating mode. He's got the sports car, got the show. So,
well, and that's what's so disgusting to me is like, oh, we have a lot of good memories in that car. Who wants to make out in the back seat of a car that he's been making out with 4 other people? I mean, who wants to do that? Not me. But then she talks about how she loved that the show could make her that she could be a wife in public. And so because before it had only been Mary who could be the wife, and Janelle and Christine were sisters. And I wrote on here, well, so she loved that she was recognized as a wife and she felt accepted. And I wrote on there how hard that must have been for Mary. Even if Mary never wanted to admit that, Mary had some level of superiority because she was the public wife. She was the legal wife. She was the one that he could recognize as a wife. And all of a sudden that was taken away from her. And I'm sure that she probably went through some ups and downs, like, I shouldn't feel angry about this, but there's no way that she could not have felt angry about that, because a position that she held and held over the other 2 wives was now stripped from her. And now she was on equal ground with Christine and Janelle. And I love Mary. Like, I have always loved Mary. I don't have it, like, I'm not trying to complain about Mary, but that had to have done something to Mary. That had to have hurt, that had to have made her feel like maybe she lost her position. She's not as special anymore, because now Cody can acknowledge these other women as his wife, that she was the only one that had that opportunity before.
That legal status.
Yeah. And then she also talks about, how she wanted to be better spoken. Christine sees herself on TV and she wants to be better spoken. She wants to be more informed. She wanted to sound that she realized how uneducated she sounded. And this is really hard for a lot of us because education is not highly stressed for women, especially. And I know I still feel this. I feel uneducated so often. I feel like I'm not as well spoken as I'd like to be. Cory apologizes all the time. He's like, I was homeschooled. I'm like, you're smarter than anyone I know. Stop saying you're probably smarter because you were homeschooled. We're huge homeschool advocates, although all of our children went through public school. But yeah.
I educated myself on most of the stuff. So
when we get older, I know that that's how I did it too. When I first started dating Cory, he had a dictionary and a thesaurus in his glove box in his car. And it's because we all felt so uneducated because we were so sheltered that even though we went to public school, it didn't always matter because.
I still, to this day, my kids will say a word and I'll have to go look it up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plethora. plethora was a big one for me. So my dad had a plethora of wives
Yeah. Yeah.
and children.
Yeah. And so it is, because as I've gotten older, I have wanted to sound more educated. I don't want to sound ignorant. And so and I'm still ignorant to a lot of things, because there's just stuff that we were taught to stay away from. Literally, I sent my daughter to Disney College in Florida, and she calls home one day and she says, "Mom, what's Cosmopolitan?" And I'm like, "The magazine?" And all of her roommates, there were 6 girls in this room, and they were making fun of her because she didn't know what Cosmo was. And I was like, that's right. That's right. You know what Forbes magazine is because you're a badass. You don't know what Cosmo is. But they're residual things that we just kept our kids away from, because that's what we were taught to stay away from. And so we weren't as educated. I definitely have 0 street smarts. So, and yeah, I think that homeschooling does give kids so much more of an advantage, but it's so downplayed in the public eye that kids who are homeschooled feel.
Well, I was plague schooled too. So
Yeah. Yeah. She says, as they met more people, she became more curious about other cultures, and she started to pay attention to the news and reading business guides and self-help books. And we were taught to stay away from a lot of that kind of stuff, because if you needed to know what was going on, go talk to the prophet. He'll get a revelation for you. If you needed, no self-help books. The Bible and the Book of Mormon were the only self-help books.
Or anything written by prophets.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Like scriptural, religious word is all we were really allowed to read.
yeah.
I love how she explains this, because this is exactly how I felt when I started to see the outside world. She says, it's almost like I aimed a hairdryer at a foggy mirror and began to see bits as they were slowly revealed to her. Things she'd missed subscribing to the tenets of our faith, tending to the madness of a flock of children, and believing the story of my life had already been set for eternity. Mm-hmm. That's why we didn't participate in things, because they were temporal,
yeah.
petty.
Worldly.
Like you concern yourself with eternal things, not with worldly things, temporal things. She talks about being naively optimistic. We were all so naive in this way. She talks about how the family wasn't best friends, but that they enjoyed doing things together. They believed family was more important than anything else, and we believed our kids were cool. Believed our kids were cool, good people, so we were willing to adjust. But Cody didn't have a favorite wife back then.
Yep.
I love the way she says that, but Cody didn't have a favorite wife back then. And so they were willing to work with each other on things because he treated them all fairly free.
Similar.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, so that's the end of chapter 12. We're buzzing right through this. Let's see.
13.
Yeah. So let's see. Did you see any questions you wanted to make sure we got to?
Not really. I didn't keep up. So
let's see. Oh shoot. Darn it. I wanted to get to that one and then it jumped. Okay, so Pelican Fight says, I was homeschooled and used to have hard feelings about it, but now I'm entertaining doing it if and when I have kids due to the direction this world is going. Yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons we were, and it's not even necessarily homeschooled, because Christine taught at the church private school. And so we went there as well. My kids, I started teaching at that school for a while too. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Joni says, please don't feel that way. You are both so well spoken. I'm supposedly educated, masters in econ and finance, and I still carry a dictionary and a thesaurus as well, and do not sound half as good as you. Well, thank you. I feel like it's hard because we feel, I feel like I missed so much growing up that we were very naive to a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Speaking in these and thous and thines, and all of a sudden I had to learn to speak Gentile.
Yeah,
so
we did.
Once I came out and had to quit reading the scriptures and start reading regular books. Although I read a lot of books when I was a kid that I wasn't supposed to. So yeah, we did say a lot of these, a lot of thys, a lot of thines. Yep, we always did that. I wanted to answer this question.
Do you think that Christine was the only wife having sex with Cody before Robin? No. I think in the AUB, there was a time period when Robin came into the family that particular prophet was very adamant that you do not have sex unless you're procreating. But that's not been the position of all the other prophets. The other prophets were like, it's none of our business. Stay out of the bedroom. Unless that family brings a problem to you or talks to Dirty on the phone. Then they really didn't want to get involved in bedroom aspects. It's really none of their business. And most of the prophets felt that way. It was just during the time frame when Robin came into the Brown family, that particular prophet, I think he was a prophet for about 10 years before he passed. That was his position, but that's not generally most of their positions. You're given the guilt trip because everything comes with a guilt trip. And you're given the guilt trip that if you want the most righteous children, then you'll only have sex to procreate. If you don't really care about the righteousness of your children, you just go ahead and have sex whenever you want to.
Yeah. It was a guilt trip. It was a shaming mechanism so that you'd have righteous children. And if your children were rambunctious or disobedient, it's because the parents are probably having sex for pleasure, not for...
Yeah. So Heather E says, I couldn't imagine having no autonomy and men making all the decisions. And here's the thing about this is that in polygamy, women, that's what we were taught. That's what we believed. And yet 90% of our lives, we lived alone. You would live alone. Mm-hmm. You're the only one making those decisions. You're the one making the decisions for the betterment of your children. You're the one, your husband gives you his demands, and you either do or don't follow those. But that's what I wish more of polygamous women in this. So if you are AUB or any polygamous woman listening to this, really sit down and think about how many decisions you actually make that your husband is unaware of. Not that you're trying to be sneaky or hide them, but you have to live life. You have to be a mother.
You got to make decisions on your own because he's not always around. A lot of times he's down weekends dating a new wife, or a girlfriend. So you have to make those important decisions, and you just don't think you are, but you actually are. You're probably making more intelligent decisions than he ever will. So
yeah. And so that's really, I feel like we were taught to sell ourselves short, because if we actually had any confidence in our own decision making, I mean, look at how long you guys watched the Sister Wives, and you can see how long these women were independent on their own. But yet the beliefs that we're taught is that you cannot be independent. But just kidding, you go ahead and do everything on your own because I'm too busy courting and dating this other chick over here. So I just think it's so ass backwards, however you say that. Okay, chapter 13. Okay, they're talking, she's trying to give Robin a lot of grace at the beginning of this chapter, and how she worked, the whole family worked, and they were kind and inviting to Robin and her children because they were joining a family and they were coming into a TV show. They were coming into a new family. They were doing all of these things. So she was trying to give Robin a lot of grace right here. Like, I could see why maybe Robin acted a little weird because she came into all this new stuff. But I wrote on the side, it was new for everybody. It wasn't just Robin and her family. It was new to the whole family that hadn't had a new wife come in for 16 years. And I feel like maybe she doesn't give herself enough grace right here too.
Well, and one of the things that said right off the bat too is that the Cody's family time stopped. And he was so engrossed on trying to win this fourth wife over, going down that where before he had been involved with the kids, involved with the family, and that family involvement just stopped.
Yeah.
If you got to go down with him on the weekend to see Robin, whether you're a kid or a wife, then you kind of felt important. But for the rest of them, they were up there running the house by themselves. So
yeah. And how tragic is that? She talks about how if the producers and the cameras were not there, this is how she would have handled conflict. She would have focused harder on her children and limited her meltdowns about her jealousy to just Cody. That's all. She wouldn't have talked to anyone else about these. She would have just only talked to Cody. This is how things normally get handled, because they don't get handled. She talks about the producers start asking some of the deep, hard questions. But authentic me probably would have led on to Robin about how much it all hurt. She wouldn't have told Robin all of these things. She would have kept it to herself. She would have talked to Cody possibly, but if she talked to Cody and then Cody betrayed her trust by going to Robin, she would have stopped talking to him about a lot of it. Cody went down there every weekend, and she talks about, I highlighted this sentence because I feel this is where the fabric of the family started to fall apart, in my opinion. Says that they stopped getting together for their weekly meals together, where the whole family gathered and grounded together. So they connected as a core of a family, and that all stopped when Cody went down to St. George. She talks about Peyton being able to see how unfair things were. Most polygamists don't go out to eat. It's too expensive. They don't eat fast food. Cory never, Well, you lived in a town that had no fast food restaurants. That's right. Too.
I started getting fast food when I was 18 and started working at a fast food restaurant. So up till then, the mothers cooked a meal every night, and so we'd eat whatever was cooked at the house. So
yeah, and so she talks about how even when Robin moved up here when she moved to Lehigh from St. George, a mile and a half away, all the kids did all the work, that Cody was nowhere to be seen, and that they only saw Cody if Robin was with him. And she says, I think we all felt deserted.
Well, and it says in here, why does Dad go to KFC with Robin and her kids? He asked. I thought KFC was a treat. Robin doesn't know how to cook, so. And if he's staying with Robin, he wants to be fed or eat something that's actually tastes good. So
that's funny.
Mac and cheese. Let's go to KFC. So where Christine cooked for the family. So and they knew how to cook. So and create meals from scratch. So yeah. And
sorry. No, I think that's hilarious.
That was a stab that I saw. I was like, what is she saying here? Well, it's because what she's saying is, hey, we cooked and he would come and eat food at our house, but Robin doesn't know how to cook, so they go to KFC. So
yeah. Okay, and then she says, then she'd already gone through all of her other children, the personality traits that she would take on. And she says her personality changed when she was pregnant with Truly. She would go to her own room. She's introspective and needed her own space. And that was not normally her, because parties were her love language. She became introverted, exactly what was not needed at the beginning of a reality show or as they brought new people into the family. And that is so true. People in this religion, if you're not over the top friendly as a new wife is coming in, then you hate her. Yeah. Everybody makes assumptions about everybody. And a huge portion of polygamous women have RBF, resting bitch face. They do. I have it. And I feel like if you're not laughing and joking and partying all the time, then the girl coming into the family feels like there's something wrong with her. Like, do you hate me? Do you not like me? There's always a massive level of insecurity with these women. There was with me. I didn't become secure with myself. Gosh, I did when you and I started. I was late 20s before I started to have any level of self-esteem, after I'd already left my ex-husband.
So I have resting smile face then.
You do.
Because I've always got a joke that I got in my head.
I look at him one time and I'm like, why are you smiling? And he's like, because I have the funniest jokes going through my head. So
I'm laughing at myself. So
you definitely do. I agree with that. She talks about, like, literally life shifted for her hard. And she talks about principal voices, her time with principal voices ended. And I don't think they kept that going. I think my dad's wife, that was one of the founders of Principal Voices. I think she had a stroke at that time too. And I think Principal Voices just like disappeared after that. But she talks about how, the church needed to try to control the narrative. They needed to try to control the message that was coming out about, oh, my mom says, yes, you do, Cory, LOL. Cory always has a smile on his face. Hi, Mom. But she talks about the church needed to control the message and the Brown family was a wild card. It was so true. So true. My dad would talk to me about this all the time. Yeah. Somebody says Principal Voices, never heard of it. So Principal Voices was kind of like an activist type where these people would go out and try to work with the local government.
Well, it says it in the book. It's it was a representative from every polygamous group to kind of explain to police officers, emergency care people, what to expect when they're coming into a polygamous family, that there probably is multiple wives and a lot of kids, and how to be aware of that, what to look for. So
yeah. So she was part of an advocacy group like that.
3 more years.
What?
So it's how long before Robin leaves Cody? 3 more years.
Your bet's 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I have to put the question up here so everyone can see it.
She might have left today. The rapture happened a couple hours ago, so she might already be gone. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This part of the book really frustrated me, and there's a whole lot of coloring and a whole lot of underlining. She talks about the polygamous church, the AUB, was dealing with a public relations disaster that she had no desire to be associated with at all. The news broke of accusations that members of her church had molested children. Exactly what I had always decried about the FLDS. It shook her, even the thought of something like that happening to one of her children. This group that provided the morality rules, sorry, that's funny, because the hypocrisy in that is funny. What?
We thought it at one time when
we
were
did.
young. We did. We thought we were the righteous group that never did any of this stuff. It was the other groups that were sinful and did that kind of behavior too. And then we lived through it and went, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere.
Well, she just said, she thought back to her mom and how her mom had always said to her that they should judge the church leaders individually rather than assume they were righteous or good. So this is 2010 when she's writing this, or when she's referring to this time frame, 2010. And there was a member who molested his adult daughters and actually ended up dying in prison, went to prison and died there. But this was only after several other leaders had already been accused of molesting children and other people. And so I had to sit down and do a timeline on this, because this is what's frustrating about this, especially her section where she said us versus them. It is frustrating for me because several years before that, I think it was 97-ish, 98-ish, where 2 other leaders were accused of the same thing. And the one leader had been accused for multiple years of this, but the prophet at the time didn't want to believe it, so he didn't. He chose not to believe it. And the man kept abusing and kept abusing and kept abusing. And so this really infuriated me, because now she's just acknowledging it in 2010 when it had just happened 10 years prior to that. Well, it was kind of an ongoing thing. And finally it got such a terrible level that finally the leadership had to get the police involved, had to get authorities involved. Before, they were just going to handle it in their own little court system that they had. But now they felt like they needed to include actual authorities. And my mom can correct me if I'm wrong on the years, but I'm pretty sure it was 97 or 98 that these other leaders. And so this is the time frame that I had made the comment to my dad, who is now the leader. Dad, I asked him point blank to his face this exact question. Do you even pray about the people that you put in charge? Because it sure seems like all your leadership are a bunch of molesters.
And yes, they got strong testimonies that those people
I get so riled up about this.
So
Yeah. It infuriates me because it's something that the Browns felt like they wanted to go on TV to expose, and yet it is so rampant in the AUB too. And a lot of people like to say that's not true, but it is.
But again, you hear it through the grapevine, you hear it through gossip, but you don't ever really, it's not announced over church until it's blown up so badly.
Right.
So they still try to play it off. It's not, everybody keep sweet. Let's play it off until we have to announce it. And we do not tolerate this kind of behavior. We promise. We promise we don't tolerate this kind of behavior. But then again, they were turning things over to the authorities where other communities weren't. So
yeah. But it had to hit a really severe point in order for them to finally start turning things over to the authorities, because it had to get that severe. But she talks about how the church had admonished them for going public while they continued to live in secrecy, and nothing could convince me that being afraid of the outside world justified a system where true evil could exist. It's like a petri dish. Bacteria grows and grows and grows because nothing is coming from the outside to stop it. Both of my grandfathers had pushed for change for years for exactly this reason, and I would continue that fight. And while I appreciate what she says right there, her grandfather did start courting a 14-year-old and married her at 15. So there's that. I'm not trying to discount what she's saying, but it's frustrating.
But that was before her time too. So,
well, right.
And a lot of the stuff was, well, there was excuses for it. So
right. So sometimes I get a little frustrated when I see people try to, and I think as Christine deconstructs more and more, that she'll start to come to grips and terms with a lot of this, and she'll start to see the abuse, because we didn't recognize it as abuse, because it was part of our lives, and we didn't know that it was abuse. And so, yeah, she says as they began to film, they started going on their first media tours and got to know people from the outside world. And she realized her values didn't match with the people that she knew from church. I've said this a dozen times, that's when I realized just like how dishonest I was, because I was taught to lie about my feelings. I was taught to lie about my emotions.
You weren't supposed to say anything about it. Yeah. You're just supposed to become aware of it and then, I don't know, hide it.
Yeah.
So
figure it out.
If not, you were going to be brainwashed again. So
right. She talks about how in the Lehigh house, that was the loneliest she'd ever been. She was a basement wife. And she talks about how she basically, the house was it felt like the tiniest space because they had camera crews. They had 1 million kids in there. She talks about Mary and not wanting to allow people to walk through her house. I can see both sides of that. I can see Mary's side of it too. Was it possibly used as a level of control? Probably. But was it also inconvenient to have 100 people run through her house? Probably too. So I can see both sides of that. Thank you so much, Lamb59, for that super chat. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
We still can't put them up on the screen. I have emailed the platform that we're using to ask them if they can fix that for us. I don't know if they will, but we'll get to it. But thank you so much. We do appreciate that. She talks about going back to work and how she wanted to pay off debt before she had Truly, and asked Cody to help her put the kids to bed at night. That's one thing that pisses me off, is that you have to ask your husband to help you with your children, with his children. But that's not how we were taught to refer to our children. They're our children. Can you help me put my children to bed? Instead of saying, and this was something that Cory and I had to work through when we first got married. Because I would say, I would get a babysitter. And he would say, you don't need to get a babysitter. I'm here. Why can't I watch the kids? And he goes, and I don't watch my children. I parent them. And but it was something that I was so used to that I would just get a babysitter. And he's like, yeah, I'm the parent. That's what I do. And so, but then again, I came in with 3 children when we got married, and I didn't want to inconvenience him as the priesthood holder.
Which I wasn't.
I know. But it's so infuriating because, and I wasn't used to, I had never had somebody say something like that to me. Like, hey, I don't babysit my own children. I take care of my children. So yeah, that was really.
I'm a parent. I'm here. See ya. We're going to have fun together. So
yeah. Well, and so then she talks about how Cody's responded to her. As I'm reading this, I literally have heard my parents have this exact same conversation. I have literally had this exact same conversation with my ex-husband.
Need to talk to your sister wives.
Yeah. I don't have time to do that every night, Cody says to her. You'll have to ask your sister wives for help. I can't help you. Jackass, you're not helping her. You're raising your children. And so, yeah, it was hard. And she says, I've literally heard these exact same words come out of my mom's mouth. Now she's on here, so she can confirm this. She says, I have given you everything, and these are our children. And Aspen was 15 and ended up doing it. So she ended up paying off her debt, quitting her job, and stopped giving Cody massages. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. And she says, I'm not going to take care of you at the end of a hard day so that you can chill while I continue my long day. I'm done. This is so, it's so infuriating to me.
But it was the way we were raised. That's how it was. The mothers helped each other out. And I mean, we got to hang out with Dad once a week or sometimes more, but usually it was a what's it called? It means you were a good kid if you got to hang out with your dad. So
yep, because you were being lovable.
Yeah, being righteous.
Yeah. My mom, I'm going to blast you on blast here. My mom says this book was a rough read for me because it's too much like my life. And it is. It is exactly, I mean, I've literally heard my mom say those words.
Hey, little brother.
Yeah, we got a lot of family on here tonight.
On there.
She thought intimacy in her marriage was never the same after that because not in a consistent way. How can you have any respect for your partner if it's not a partnership? And she thought, how can she respect her partner, her helpmate? She didn't have a functioning marriage. It's over. She thought, I can't respect him if he won't help me with our children. I'm like, wow. And then she goes on to admit that there's narcissism and piety. Oh my God. You don't know how many times I've heard this growing up, how many times this was said to me, how many times I've even heard my mother recently say stuff like this as she's deconstructing. That says, God will reward me if I suffer through this marriage. God will see me as deserving above other people. God loved me for how it felt. If God loved me more for it, how did it feel to happy people? Isn't that what she had questioned as a child? The idea that God was judgmental. Hadn't her parents taught her that God was that he was loving entity? And this is what we were taught. If you suffer through this, you're going to be blessed. If you suffer through this marriage or suffer through whatever it is you're going to be blessed above all else, above all. And it is so hard. This is where I get because I remember these things being said to me. What are you reading?
No, I just saw, but it disappeared, so I'll go back and see it. So,
okay,
my brother said something, and I was trying to see what he said, but I can't see it over there. No, I can't see it here either.
Okay, so then she talks about how she made a promise to God, right? And that her sister wife's relationship promises can feel like a level of narcissism as well. Like, don't cheat on me with women that you aren't married to. And for anyone who has never lived this way, they're like, what the hell is she saying? But when you're raised this way and this is what you're taught. This is literally the mental gymnastics that you go through. Don't cheat on me if you're not married to her. Yes, help me parent children and work with me to make this marriage eternal. And don't take away my opportunity to be loved. And your rejection won't kill me. It'll just keep me stronger. And I don't believe that God wants me to be miserable. And she wasn't able to recognize that Cody's inability to be a partner was in a violation of her eternal contract.
Yeah.
Because we were taught that men don't violate this eternal contract. There's nothing they can really do. We're the ones who have to get right with the Lord. We're the ones that have to keep sweet. And I'm just like, what in the hell? Thank you so much, Jenny Olson, for that super chat. We really appreciate that. I wish we're going to figure out how to get you guys on the screen for that. That's so frustrating. We can't do that yet. But thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. So yeah, she talks about how that really is a violation, but we're taught that men don't violate these eternal contracts. Only women and their bad attitudes do.
And if they do, they can get a release for abandonment. So
yeah.
But yeah, that right there is the abandonment where she just didn't recognize that it was abandonment. So
yep. And I love this comment. Thank you, Pelican Fights. She says, kind of like, accept the pain so you'll be rewarded in heaven. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we were taught. And she lived with all of this frustration. And she says, just like when she found out Cody kissed Robin before they got engaged, it doesn't appear to me that they were just kissing. They were making out, having full on makeout sessions. And then he says, we talked about this. This is another way that the script gets flipped. And then it's all Christine's fault because, and I agree. I see both sides of it. The fact that you don't want your first kiss to be in front of your sister wives, but at the same time, you should not be making out with a married man. And so Robin needed to put her lips back in her face.
Well, that's probably a conversation that they had years earlier. And then he's like, well, remember when you said this? And that's all I was doing. So
yeah.
Then she's like, oh yeah, I did say that out of hurt, but this is making me jealous. So yeah. But then it's coming out because they are on camera. So they're getting to see everything on camera.
Yeah.
And this is when the notorious leaked photo.
Right. Oh, and we're getting to that photo part here pretty quick too. But she's talking about how this kiss bothered her so bad because he was so in love with her. And the kiss, and we've said this on our channel before, it's not the kissing part, it's the intimacy part. I feel like a lot of people, they don't care necessarily. They do, but your husband's being physical, but watching your husband be intimate with someone else, that's the kicker. And so she said, the kiss bothered me as much as the intimacy part did. It didn't feel fair. It felt like he liked something he couldn't control, like a different kind of love than what she shared with him. Like he barely wanted to get married to her. And she didn't realize how much this was going to affect their family. And then TLC filmed a session. And here we go with the infamous picture that was so inappropriate. It showed the differences of the days and warned them of what was to come. And so she says, that's pretty sexy. One or all of us said about Robin's outfit. I'm sure we all worked to control our faces. Again, they're not just pretending for the camera. They pretend for each other too, because you can't say what you really feel or you're going to
be the bad sister wife.
Right.
Yeah. And so.
Right. And so she's talking, she goes, judgment, jealousy. It was a practical matter to finagle your clothes to cover your garments. That was the hardest thing ever. I knew some people who actually got safety pins and would safety pin their garments to the inside of their clothes. So if their shirt came over, their garments went over too.
Well, and that was also preparation for if you needed to change a kid's diaper, you could just get your safety pin out. And we didn't have regular diapers growing up. I had to learn how to change diapers with safety pins.
Oh my God. But yeah, she talks about like the different t-shirts over the long sleeves because they did that to try to look hip while covering up yet another layer. No, it was never a good thing. I've always hated that look. And I know I got a million comments last time I said that because a lot of people apparently did it. I think it's a horrible look and I still stand by that. But she talks about
better with your flash dance look.
Yep.
They commented on that. That was awesome.
She talks about the garments didn't limit their clothing options as much as their sister wives did. I loved that statement. Yeah. Because if their sister wives limited, because if they dressed sexy, there was jealousy that happened. So they didn't do it. and the church required modesty as well, but we shied away from even having high heels or form-fitting clothing. And since my dad's become the prophet, they've set out a new dress standard. And so then I went to my dad's last wedding reception, and I had to wear everything on the list that was said not to be worn. I was like, dang it, I normally would never even wear this to a wedding reception.
Hoop earrings.
But I did.
High heels.
Yeah. Because I was so annoyed by it. Like, but no form-fitting clothes. All your parts are covered, you know, but I agree with her that you kept yourself in check, because if you dress too sexy, that could really piss off your sister wife. And then there's a whole thing you got to deal with that. And she talks about Robin's clothes covered most of her skin, but Robin had a different mindset. She looked cute and sexy, extremely sexy. And she remembers thinking, wait, we can do that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking that with some girls that came in. I'm like, wait, we can dress like that? No, we can't. Oh, what were you saying?
Her piety's coming down. She's going, wait a minute, we can do that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. So,
so Planet 5 says Mel's not wearing her garments. Nope. Took those things off long time ago. But she said she struggled to hide the colors of the special fundamentalist garments under their clothes for both the TV camera and the engagement photo camera. And she says, Robin, who is yet to wear garments because, and I get this question all the time. She says, Robin, who is as of yet to wear garments, wore tight jeans, tight t-shirt, and gasp sexy shoes. So Robin didn't wear garments in her first marriage because she got pregnant out of wedlock and they didn't go through the temple. But the only way that she could marry Cody is if she did go through the temple and started wearing garments after that. But she didn't wear them for this photo shoot because she hadn't married Cody yet. And, which is really kind of sad, because then the other wives, like, I don't know. Christine says she did realize that they could have been dressing that way all along instead of so shapelessly. And Robin had style. I don't know. I find that comment hard to believe, but I mean, Robin was cute enough when she first came into the family.
She did have AUB style.
Yeah.
So
she did have AUB style. Yeah, that's true. But that's the hard part for me, is that there was some girls who wore stuff. There was girls who wore 3/4 length sleeves and they would just roll their garments and put them under. And I'm like, oh, I see your elbows. Like, it was so judgmental. I was kind of an ass too. I was very
piety.
I did. I had a lot of piety myself. I was a big judgmental ass back then, and I was like, she is not doing that right. She is not wearing those garments right. And then she talks about how
this is why she would not be a good sister wife.
I would not. I just think it's so ignorant. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Oh, my mom retracted a message. What'd you say, Mom, that you had to remove? Okay, and then she talks about Robin and Cody took engagement photos on their own. And she says they're cemented together and there's no hint of shyness. Yeah. Robin confided that when she learned the photo had been leaked, so the person who took the reception or the engagement photos leaked it online, she had to do Robin felt like she had to do damage control. Absolutely she did. That photo was so inappropriate.
Well, and here's the reason why too, because if that photo had been taken to the AUB leadership, they'd have probably questioned, there'd have been a lot more questions before they went through their endowment house. And so it is instant damage control. After they're married, they really can't undo what they've done. So, but since that was leaked, yes, it made it to Christine, but she was probably crossing her fingers or saying that this shouldn't have been out, because if AUB leadership had seen that or got a hold of it, they might have been asked to wait another year, or the other wives might have been given an option to leave Cody at that point in time.
Yeah, it
looked very, very
promiscuous,
non-polygamous, non-AUB style. So
yeah. Well, and then she talks about how she knew the picture would upset Mary Janelle and Christine.
And the prophet.
Yeah, they were extremely inappropriate pictures. And she talks about how they're awfully suggestive for a chaste polygamist couple in their courtship stage.
Yep.
I love that. And for a guy who already has 3 wives, and she says, keep in mind, I didn't even kiss Cody before the ceremony. The sister wives were feeling it all too. The fans had plenty to say about it, and the sister wives had a lot to say about it too, just not for the cameras. I'll bet you that was a huge explosion before they were married. And Christine had every right to be upset about this. It says
Based off their teachings. So,
yeah.
so
Well, and she said, we were polygamists. We knew jealousy and its ups and downs came with our eternal commitment and eternal agreement, but our internal binding contract we can't get out of. And then she goes into Truly's birth, and she talks about, oh my gosh, here is a whole another. I don't know how this woman didn't tell Cody just to stick it up and walk away. But they end up going into the doctor's early, and Aspen wanted to be at the birth, which is very common. I went and saw my mom's first birth when I was 14. And so Cody goes home to get Aspen and the bag. And she says she felt like he was gone for a very long time. She felt grumpy and unimportant. Of course, your husband just abandoned you to go make out with his girlfriend. Like, this guy deserves to lose everything he's lost. He really does. What are you saying?
well, especially because she didn't get to know that until later on. She just didn't know why he was gone.
Yeah, she
were
gets
just
to see it on
filming stuff.
television. Like,
Yeah.
what a dick. Why wouldn't he say something to her about that? She says he needed to go. He rushed home to Robin. He needed to check in on, I don't know, the kids, her feelings about my labor. Yeah, this guy is it blows my mind how inconsiderate he is. And, but I know a million people like him. He's not the exception to the rule. It says the crew filmed him kissing. She was in labor, and he let them film him kissing his girlfriend. She found out only after she watched the episode, and it gutted her.
Yep.
The premarital kissing was still hard, but but the timing felt particularly inappropriate. You think? You're laying in bed about to give birth to your child, and your husband's out making out with another chick, and you're okay with that? Like, I mean, she's not okay with it, but she was okay with it because she stayed married to the guy for 10 more years.
Well, she had to. Her eternal contract. So
Yeah.
she felt like she needed to honor that, long suffer. So she's explaining that she needs to live long and suffer here on this earth to then get her blessings in heaven. If you quit, then you don't get any of those blessings, unfortunately.
I know. It's infuriating. She felt like childbirth should be all about her and the baby. Yeah. And it says, to all moms everywhere, you've got my back, right? This should be all about my baby, Truly and me. Yeah. Let's see. The rules were in place about where they could be and when. Oh, so, okay. So that's why I wrote this on here. I'm like, why did I write Robin and her dad? We had talked about, we just barely watched the episode where Robin's dad was in the birth room with Solomon. And so I was saying that I felt like there was rules that he would have had to follow. The camera angles, and same with her dad, Paul Sullivan. Says, the camera, let's see, it's all about me, the baby and me, and the camera, right? Fortunately, I was so caught up in Truly and me bit that I barely noticed the production team did everything they could to keep it that way. There were rules in place about where they could be and when. Yeah. So I think that, they did that with Christine in the hospital. So I'm 100% sure that that's what they did with, Robin's dad and the production team when Solomon was born. Because people are like, how does she have her uncle? What does everybody call him? Her
Uncle
daddy. Yeah, Uncle Daddy. Yeah, and then she goes off about how Cody decides to talk to the doctor about Mary's infertility. And I don't blame Mary for being upset about that. Like, don't talk about my infertility when I'm not around. These men literally have zero.
Well, yeah. They were doing show schedules, so probably needed hey, let's talk about that on our own episode, not on.
Yeah. Like, can you and I have that conversation
Yeah,
privately,
let's
please?
have that conversation on our own episode, please.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then she goes on the rest of her hospital stay. And then she ends up going home, and she asks Cody to stay an extra night with her because she's exhausted and she needed to take care of the kids. He told her he didn't have time.
right.
2 weeks later, she started taking the kids back and forth to school. This is so common. I can't believe he stayed with her 2 nights in a row, because that is, I mean, hell, my mom had a baby and my dad's out in the kitchen having dinner with his other wife while my mom's in the bedroom with her brand new baby. And I'm like, they brought you dinner at least, didn't they, Mom? And she's like, nope, they maybe brought me a bowl of soup. And so that is, these men don't think about this kind of stuff. It's all about their needs and what they want have done, not about anyone else.
Well, they don't have to. They haven't been taught or trained
Right.
that way. They've been completely trained the other way.
It's
So
infuriating.
that
It is. It's
they
so,
have to keep peace. They have to equally keep peace. And so, sorry, you don't get another night. But if Robin needs it, aren't you going to be a good sister wife and give that time up? So
well, I'm pretty sure too, he stayed with Robin 2 weeks after she had her baby.
nice.
And so Christine got a full 2 days. She should be grateful. Right. So, let's see. And then Christine said she went right back to work, and she didn't consider the stress of the conversations that would be happening on the couch. I feel like when you watch Christine and how she had the baby while he's courting another girl, she goes right back to work. You are watching 100% of what 90% of women, polygamous women, go through. It's just like, well, back in the saddle, let's go again. We don't have time to sit around, and there's chores to be done. There's children to be taken care of, and I'm the only one that can do it. Again, this goes right back to what we were saying earlier, that these women do 90% of the choices on their own. And yet we were so programmed to think we couldn't survive without our husbands. And yet here she is surviving without her husband. And it's being filmed. Everyone can see that she's surviving without her husband. I couldn't survive without you, though.
Oh, thanks. You could.
I could. But yeah, you got to talk louder, somebody says.
Oh. Souls.
Yeah. She talks about, this is where I wish she had given herself just a small bit more grace. She talks about her PMS after Truly's birth, and that it didn't feel logical. And she looks back now and wonders and thinks her feelings were legitimate, but we are taught that it's not. And so she ended up, it is postpartum depression she's going through. And we are taught that go get a blessing, go pray, read your scriptures more, go get a blessing, go to your priesthood leaders, and they will help you get through this. You don't go on medications, you don't go. And so I do appreciate that Christine talked about this, because I'm curious if she had some shame about this, about going on an antidepressant, and she shouldn't, unfortunately, but we were always taught that that's a huge no-no. Put your feet on the grass and have your husband give you a blessing so that you can, because if you are going through postpartum depression, it's evil spirits, or you've just allowed things to come into your spirits to come into your life that are nefarious. Yeah.
Yep. Also, some of the language, a lot of the language we grew up with, if somebody's having a wife or a child is having a problem and telling their woes or their experience, the language almost twists it back to, well, it's because you're not being righteous enough. You're not being holy. You can't hold somebody that is ranked higher above you accountable for anything. So their behavior is not to be questioned as the husband by the wives, and vice versa. The wives' behavior is not to be questioned by the children. And so it's the highest ranking. So if you do have a problem and you try to expose it or bring it out, wait a minute, this is wrong. No, you don't. That's something that you have to check within yourself to get right, because you cannot judge somebody that's higher ranked than you. And it goes all the way up to the top of the priesthood. You cannot judge. It's something wrong with you if you feel like they are, their behavior is wrong, because their behavior isn't wrong because they're higher ranked than you.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I'm going to put this one up here. Get up on that microphone, brother. People think you're weak. LOL.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'll
you gotta
talk louder.
I'm so used to being so soft spoken most of my life that now I'm like extra. And then I lean into the when I'm like have a really point I want to emphasize, then I lean in a little bit harder. I want to answer this one from Crystal. She says, I can't imagine giving birth without an epidural. In the polygamous community, 90% of the babies are born at home, so epidurals aren't even an option. But if you do have an epidural, there's a lot of shame that comes with that because you're not equipped enough to handle it. You didn't have faith in God enough to handle it. You didn't have the faith in your husband to give you a blessing if something went wrong. You didn't have, and
So you're weak. You felt, yeah.
And like Cory said earlier in one of the last episodes, that having two people there to give blessings if something happens, which is why he thought Paul Sullivan was at Robin's birth.
Yeah, two priesthood holders to be able to give those blessings.
Yeah.
So.
And so there's a lot of shame if you are not woman enough to handle the birth on your own. And so I have a sister who ended up I have a couple sisters who ended up getting C-sections, and the amount of shame that they had that came along with that, I'm like, sweetheart, that shame is doing more damage to you than the actual C-section itself. Please don't get lost in that. But there's a lot that comes with that. And I'm not saying that that's just AUB people. That could be a lot of people, but in the AUB, like, you just need to have faith in your priesthood. Yeah?
Yep.
All right. One of Blue Star says, what do AUB garments look like? So you can Google those. You could just go to original Mormon garments and a ton of pictures will pop up and you'll see them.
Long johns. They
yeah.
are long johns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neck, long sleeves, long legs, all one piece.
Yeah. And I never got an epidural with all 5 of my kids. But man, I watched it be done and I was like, shit, that would be nice.
It's because you're righteous, right?
I was trying. I was trying. But yeah. Let's see. I know. Thank you guys for the mic reminders, because I hate it when people come into the comments like after we've posted the video. And then I'm like, crap, now we can't fix it. But we can while we're live.
That's right.
Fix it. All right. She said, let's see. If a man doesn't treat you kindly before you have a baby for him, he's not going to treat you kindly afterwards. But if love, help, and kindness from your spouse was normal before, you'll get it after. And so that's how she felt. She watched Cody be non-supportive to her. So of course he was that way afterwards, but then he watched her be supportive with Robin. And then he was that way afterwards. But I love this part of it too. She goes, our culture put an extra bit of a spin on it. When we sister wives talked together about the hard times, it was always about how to smooth away our own rough edges of our personalities. It was never about Cody's behavior. It was all about our response to Cody's behavior. Therefore, I needed to control my feelings of jealousy and rage. And if I couldn't, something was wrong with me.
Her, yeah.
And that's what we were taught our whole lives. And I mean, I love my mom and she's on here and she's listening and I always hurt her feelings and I don't mean to be, but this is what we were taught. And whether it was directly said to us or indirectly said to us, these are the things that we were taught. It's never about him. It's always about you. And this is true in a lot of aspects in life in general, but in this religion, it's taken to a toxic level. And that Cody reinforced this behavior by telling him that he would only spend time with them if they were lovable. How many times have we heard that? 1,000,000 times in our lives. Why would I want to spend time with you if you're not being lovable?
He didn't hang around. They don't hang around with the disobedient children. So
right.
If you were disobedient, you got disciplined. And so you didn't want to hang around with a dad that was just ready to discipline you. So,
yeah. And it said, lovable meant swallowing down the things that hurt. Lovable meant everything was fine and I wasn't fine. And then she goes on about her clottering. And I mean, there's so much more I could go on about that, but we're running out of time. Then she goes on about her collada ring and how Mary and Janelle both wanted to they had a diamond in their collada ring and she wanted one in hers. And he tells her no, that they don't have the money for it.
He just said no, right?
No, he says, no, we don't have the money for it.
Oh, okay.
And she goes, it was a tiny diamond, a little chip. And then she's at church sitting next to Robin. And she says to Robin, what a beautiful ring that is. And she goes, thanks. Cody put a diamond in it for me. And she goes, yeah, I didn't even have to ask him. He just asked if he could borrow the ring and brought it back with a diamond in it. And she blinked back the angry, shocked, heartbroken tears. She justified, I had justified things to myself, like the convertible, for example, but this was so specifically close to what I had asked for that it felt as if my heart had been pierced. Do I mean so little to you?
Yep.
Yeah, you
He
do.
does.
You mean not little to her.
Yep.
So, and that's the part that's so frustrating, is that these men will pick these favorites like this, and this is what they do. Yeah, so she says, you said we never had the money for it. He was irate. It wasn't his fault, this conversation. It was my fault because I was comparing again, blaming my jealousy for his behavior. He says, I will treat you like you are lovable when you make an effort to be lovable. Ugh. You know how many times I want to punch somebody in the face for saying that, because I hear that all the time.
Well, and I'm hoping that a lot of ladies within the AUB are reading this too, because this communication happens probably everywhere within the AUB. So within those
I've heard
polygamous families that
I've heard my
happens all
dad
the
say
time.
that a million times. Oh, sweetheart, my precious daughter, if you want me to love you, then you need to be lovable.
So these are the red flags within the AUB. This is what you're looking for, that you might not be the favorite wife. So
She said she hucked the ring into a field. She wishes she hadn't have done that. I'm like, I can see both sides of that too. Part of me would be like, F you, throwing that thing in. But then she asks herself, who are you? I remember thinking after she threw the ring into the field, what is going on with you? She went to her doctors and got on an antidepressant. And she was on that for about a year. And she said, while the situation hadn't gotten any better, her mind had gotten better.
yeah.
So
She's waking up.
she's starting to wake up to things.
Yeah.
So let's see, that's the end of chapter 13. I think we should just finish. We said 2
Okay.
hours, but we're at the 2 hour mark right now, but we only have 2.5 pages left.
Perfect.
Are you guys good with that? So I think that we were going to try to cut it off at the 2 hour mark, but since we're almost finished, I think we'll keep going.
Yeah, you can't. He said basically his love is extremely conditional. You can't be a polygamous man and not have conditional love. You are separating your love into 4, 5, 10, 7 different areas. And so they feel justified in it being conditional. It has to be conditional. So, and it's a good way to discipline and raise the wife up from her jealous state into a state of loving everybody equally like he is doing. So,
I know. Okay. So
and that's it.
what?
We got to do a call around. I'm wondering if any of, if my polygamous brother got taken up today. Haven't heard from him today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We need to call around on the rapture today
Yep,
and see which
if the
one of our
rapture-
siblings are
Any of
missing.
our siblings got taken up. So.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Let me go back up to this one. Imagine telling a child that they're not lovable. Well, I mean, my dad does it to this day. So yeah. Oh yeah, right here. Blame yourself if I don't love you. That is so, I actually made a video like that. It's a woman's fault if I love her. I actually did a video on that. It's on our Instagram page if you want to check it out. I have it actually pinned to the top because that brought up a lot of emotion for me about being sexually abused. And it's like, how's that her fault? That feels so abusive to me when that kind of language is used. It's your fault.
It's your fault that I love you.
Yeah. Let's see. If my husband ever said that to me, he would have no teeth. Yeah. let's see. Cody did something very similar to Mary. She was crazy about some artist, and Cody bought one of his pictures and gave it to Robin. Told Mary she could see the picture at Robin's house. So crazy. That has happened a lot. That happened to us children a lot too. We would say, hey, how come Aunt Mary so-and-so has something? I know I almost just said her name. And we didn't get that. And he goes, oh, you can go to her house and use it. She got a trampoline. And that was rich people. Rich people got that kind of stuff. We didn't get that. And I was furious because I was like, wait, what? And so we were told that we could go to her house and use it. Well, the only time we went to her house was Sundays for Sunday school. And you can't jump on the trampoline on Sundays because it's Sunday.
You'll break your arm or rip your dress.
Yeah. Yep. My sister broke her. Yeah. And so, all right. So chapter 14, we've chosen you, she says. What?
Katie said that you said only 2 hours.
I know. Mel, we were only going for 2. I know. Also, Mel, we are going a little bit longer. All of us who don't let us hang out with you a lot. I know. I always do that. People say, are we going by Melanie's longer time? Or, well, I was hoping to get it done in the 2-hour period, but we love to talk, apparently. And there's so much to talk about. And this book has been so good. But again, if you caught my mom's comment earlier, this book was hard for her to read because so much of it is like, it's how we were raised, and it's hard. But we don't have a ton highlighted, and I have some really scribbled underlining on here, so there's some important things coming up. But she says, we've chosen you. So when Mary's 20-year anniversary came up, then Cody took her to Mexico. She's talking to him about what if she was trying to court another guy. Cody gets all pissed off and says that would be an abomination. That offended Cody, and he said it was against God and an abomination. Again, this is how the women are controlled because these men speak for God. So of course he can tell her God doesn't approve of that. Yeah.
And it was probably him just lashing out because he's just been competing with a whole bunch of other men for Robin's hand. So, yeah.
Well, then he talks to her about doing IVF. Not a lot of people in the polygamous community do IVF. And the biggest reason why is, in my opinion, is they just can't afford it. There's no way that they can justify spending $20,000, $30,000 on something like that when they have families to take care of. And so it just doesn't happen. I don't know that there's...
well, the teaching is...
Teachings
God,
about... Yeah,
God will provide. If you really want to have a kid, and if you're not having children, it's probably because of... You don't go to the outside world to ask for help on getting pregnant. You go to God. And if God's not opening that way up for you, then you don't get to do it. So it's only God that can help you. The outside world is not somebody that should be helping you. So
right. Let's see. And then when they got back from the trip, they started talking. They had a big discussion about whether Cody should spend more time or less time with Robin. Robin, of course, felt like she should get equal time, especially since she'd moved her family to a new town. Mary and I felt that she already spent so much time with Robin and that it was detrimental to the rest of the family, but our issue was still not with Robin. That's super frustrating that Robin, we saw that episode and I was like, who does this wench think she is? She gets to demand equal time because she moved her family to another state. Like, this family has sacrificed so much losing their husband every weekend.
Well, she moved out of the dating ward where all the other men were trying to date her. Up
like
to an exclusive.
The sacrifices she had to make to date Cody.
Exactly. Now that she's not around any of the men down in her area, then Cody needs to spend more time with her. So
yep.
And she deserves it.
Our daughter's on modding now too. Thanks, Liv. We got our daughter's on here, and love it when she comes on to help us moderate. She can answer questions too. Okay, then they talk about the sister wives went shopping to get Robin a colada ring. She says that she was hoping Robin would bring them all closer together. She still didn't trust Mary with her kids, but when it was just the three of them, Janelle, Mary, and Christine, then they all did okay together. Though we tried to keep things real, I'm sure having the camera crew kept us on our best behavior, and we were excited about finding just the right ring. So I feel like right there she says, we are trying to be real, but we're walking on eggshells around each other. And so we're keeping our best behavior, our best foot forward. So, and again, like I said, I don't think they went out there to purposely mislead the public. They're just trying to not look like a shit show,
Yeah.
which they are. And then she talks about Robin saying it would be fun to include everyone in the wedding, and because Robin had seen the moments of jealousy in this woman. There's no way that you can't see this. And she asked Mary and Janelle if they had felt that that Christine had included them in her wedding, and they said absolutely not.
Yep.
And she goes, there's not very many things that I would change in my life, but including Janelle and Mary in her wedding, that's one thing she would have changed. And she would have changed her first kiss. Yeah, I don't think my first kiss, I mean, that's her first kiss ever. And she got that over the altar in front of Janelle and Mary, her sister wives, on top of being her first kiss ever. Like, that's insane. She talks about going with them to pick the venue, which felt odd because nothing about how Robin and Cody got married is traditional in the AUB at all. None of it. Like, you never have that big of a reception. That was all made for TV.
For Robin and Cody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And then she says that Robin really tried really hard to include them in everything. And she said that it was that Robin was being a great example of what a sister wife could be. And I'm sure
one that Cody would make sure he compared
the rest of the wives to for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, even though he hates it when they're comparing him and his behavior, he will definitely turn around, and that's okay. That's justified that he can compare their behavior.
But they can't compare his.
They can't do that back. So
Yep. And that,
I was raptured. I had to come back to watch.
You
Thanks
what?
for coming back, brother.
Oh, let's see. So then she talks about helping Robin choose her wedding dress. And we did see that scene too, where she just like, Christine lost it and just got up off the couch and was just like, I need a break. And she says, but there's nothing quite like watching your husband's fiance wrapped in white lace. I don't know how they did that. I would not have done that. Again, that was made for TV. That wasn't reality. The dress that she picked, she couldn't even wear in the temple. She had a totally different dress in the temple. Let's see. And then Cody talks about the infamous sign that says he's got a bomb to drop. And then he goes on about how he's the one who picked the wedding dress. What were you going to say?
Well, she keeps saying temple. It was just an endowment house. They've only just barely made the temple down in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Mormons have the temple. The AUB have an endowment house. Yeah. Smaller version. It's a house. And now they've got their temple just built. So.
Yeah. So an endowment house is just, a little version.
House.
It is. Yeah. Then Cody pops off with, I picked the dress. And I highlighted this because I thought it was so funny. She goes, Robin looked at it as if she'd swallowed a frog, while the rest of us looked confused. A bomb? Well, that could mean a lot of things, and we never knew what Cody might say, because Cody was a wild card. He popped off with a lot of stuff. And then she says, Robin looked, after Cody admitted he picked the dress, Robin looked like the frog had gotten stuck in her throat, and the rest of us went silent. I thought that was one of the most... Cody does a lot of really shitty things on this show. He really does. But that was one of the top, I think. That he's so inconsiderate of these women and their feelings. Like, he really just doesn't care.
He's clueless as a leader. He should be able to say and do what he wants, and they should just be like, oh,
yeah,
Cody.
And again, it's hard not to compare. It is. Like, this is such a hard religion to be in, and it's very hard not to compare. Because you're just like, wait a second, you didn't even care when I came in. And so then she says his 10,000-yard stare when she walked in her wedding dress. Now, let's be honest, her wedding dress was left a lot to be desired. And
it was made with love.
It was. And I know her mom did her best, but it was frumpy. It looked like a sack.
It was, one that was allowed into the AUB chambers, the Chamber of Secrets. So
The Chamber of Secrets.
I mean, the
I
endowment
feel like you're
house.
talking about a Harry Potter movie.
So it was, you had to dress up that way to go into their endowment house, not the way that they showed on TV.
Right. Right. And so I did not want a frumpy dress when I got married. So and my grandma was a professional seamstress. So I actually had her make my dress very carefully so that it was very form fitting, but and then I had her put like a ruffle thing on around the outside. You guys, if you're part of our Instagram page too, you'll see my wedding dress. But the ruffles came off of the dress, and then it was the straight.
That was too worldly.
It was, and then it was the straight gunny sack dress after that. That was temple worthy, and it wasn't form fitting to my body at all. And I could then wear my garments, and I could be pregnant in it. There was a lot, and then it was a endowment house appropriate. There's a comment that I was like, Corey's gonna laugh. Is that what you're laughing at? A house to become endowed.
Yep.
I don't know why I just caught that comment. Let's see.
Some of us didn't get to go through the endowment house because we were already too well endowed.
And humble.
Humble about it too.
Oh my gosh. She says it felt like a betrayal because she believed that Robin cared about their opinions, but in reality, she only cared about Cody's opinion. And I mean, hello, we could all see that. And that's what's so hard, I feel, for these women, because they're not seeing some of the stuff that's being filmed until it airs. And so then they're walking around clueless and dumb, like, oh, we just love our husband. Oh, we love this lifestyle. Oh, we da-da-da-da-da. And then they watch the movie or the series back and they're like, what the? Yeah. And so I wonder too, yeah, you know how they say when you pass away, you're going to see a movie of your life. How many times are we going to watch that and go, what the hell? Oh my God, I had no idea that, I had no idea that happened. And now I feel stupid.
God, I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
I was talking about.
Olivia our daughter says, Olivia chastised him and said, your children are watching. Let's not talk about being endowed.
With the priesthood or something like that.
So Cody then goes on to explain, moving on, about how he thinks it's important that he's included and that he doesn't think it's fair he's not involved. And Christine points out, wait a minute, you weren't involved in our wedding at all, and that was your choice. And so you'll see these men do this very commonly, and you can always tell who they're in love with and who they're marrying as a responsibility or an obligation.
There you go.
And those are the ones where you're just like, this sucks and it hurts and it stings because he's only marrying me because it's a responsibility and a duty. And, you know, I'm going to make an eternal contract and commitment with this man, but not because he's in love with me.
Nope.
It's our responsibility.
Yep.
Yep. And Mary said it feels like a slap in the face. She saw it, Janelle saw it, Robin saw it. They all had vague smiles just as they'd been taught.
Yep.
And so here she's talking about this. And again, this goes right back to what I'm saying. I don't feel like they lied on the show as much as they just did what they were taught to do. We did what we were all taught to do. When the outside world wants to peer in, then you make yourself
pleasant,
and you keep sweet. And Cody says, and then Cody flips the script instantly and says, you don't have to do it this way. It's not very lovable. My behavior and my rough edges aren't very lovable. And yeah, and I remember watching that episode when he's like, you don't have to do it like this. You don't have to do da 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 da. And I'm like, you piece of, ugh. Cody said he felt numb and apologized. And I apologized to him for his feelings. Mm-hmm. This is the way of the polygamous world.
Keep sweet.
The women have to apologize for the way that they upset the man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also have a video on Instagram about that. How I was sexually assaulted by my ex-husband before we were married, and my dad made me apologize to him because he had a righteous anger and I upset him. So I needed to apologize to him. That's what this felt like when I read this. yes, it wasn't to that level of severity, but this is what happens. The women apologize for the way that the men feel. And it's disgusting because it's always the woman's fault for how she feels. And it's always her fault for how she makes him feel. But he never makes her feel anyway. She chooses to feel that way. And then she talks about how they didn't film Robin and Cody's marriage because it's a sacred ceremony. It's the same thing in the Mormon church. They have the big temples. No one's allowed to go in unless you have a recommend, unless you are worthy enough to be in there. And then you can go into the, the temple or the endowment house, and then they don't film that. She talks about how they had Robin's reception afterwards and how they all wore heels. I mean, I'm 6'2". I don't wear heels. I never have worn heels.
Unless I wear them with her.
Unless Cory
the same height.
is like, come on, love, let's get dressed up together. And so she says, Robin was incredible that day, and I still remember it was an awesome family day. And that's the end of chapter 14. And that's the thing, is that I feel like don't everyone come after me in the comments about this, please. But I feel like Robin really did want to try to have a good sister-wife relationship. Cody just got in the way all the time. And he was boosting her ego all the time to where she became a monster.
Well, and she had been trained well on how to say the right things and do the right things to get into the situation and then to control it.
Yeah.
So she had been trained well. I mean, she knew that she had to not only date Cody, she got him hooked right off the bat, but then to date the wives too, to have them get that testimony so that then she could control the situation and control the finances. And she was very honest and upfront of, these guys all have bills to pay, and I'll just put mine here on the desk and watch it magically get paid. So
that one got you so hard.
It irritated me, but yep. But it's typical. It's one of those, So she knew what she was doing and how to, and she was trained well by mentors of hers. So
yeah, and it's sad because as women we're trained to be this way, whether we realize it or not, or whether it's even intentional. Let's see. I'll answer this one. Oh no, it jumped. Let's see. Please address how it reads that Robin did things right, including the sister wives and in the wedding, but Christine mentions not doing that. So how did Christine have the leg to stand on to yell at the lady calling Cody? Right. I see what you're saying. Because remember, she wasn't getting to know. But
she had the phone calls going to Cody for 3 years. So.
Yeah. And I agree with you when you say that. That's,
You smell the hypocrisy. You did something and somebody else is dating now your husband and doing it the same way you did. And so she didn't have but she did kind of lay down a rule that then Cody learned from very quickly, because when Robin was coming in, she was doing all the right things. Probably had got some advice from Cody on how to win the wives over, and she dated the wives better than Cody ever did, and so
it's true.
And then she had been taught by her mentors to go through the proper process. The only thing that they forgot to tell her was not to let the promiscuous picture out before the marriage ceremony. That could have caused a lot of hiccups and stuff like that.
That's so funny because she says that the photographer leaked it. I wonder if that photographer got paid for that. Like, that couldn't have been an accidental.
Well, I don't know. It could have hindered their proper marriage to the AUB. So
right, it really could have,
and ended the show. So
Here, Sister Katie says, the endowment house is the Great Value version of the LDS temple. So Great Value is, if for those that don't know or don't live in the country, Great Value is a no-name brand food. So that's a great comment. And so, the endowment house is a no-name brand of the LDS version of the
It had to be in an endowment house when they only had 5,000 followers because not enough tithing was coming in. Now that they got 10,000 plus followers, they can afford a bigger, God now can afford a bigger house for them to go through.
Yeah,
So,
I know. So I agree with this one. I still can't believe they had a huge expensive painting made of the engagement photo. Talk about doubling down.
yeah.
Talk about like, we know we effed up here, but you know what? We're just going with it all the way.
Well, and they only did that. Well, I'm curious when they did that, but probably when he lost the 3 wives, he knew that photo was such a sticky, because I think now he's doing things to irritate the wives. So there's like those little slivers that you can put into a scene or into something that says that will try to poke at the wives that now have broke their covenants with him and left. And so what's he going to do? Oh, this little picture was an irritation to them. Let's make this let's glorify. And so then they took down their big picture of the temple or the endowment house and put up their picture of their fornication picture. So because it irritates the other 3 wives.
So Christine's getting her little stabs at them in her book, and Robin's and Cody are getting their little stabs
every time they put something up like that was a stab from Robin and Cody, that they are so in love. Look we're now honoring our fornication picture instead of the endowment house or the temple or whatever, because that's usually what's the big picture, or a picture of the Christ or whatever they have in there that they're honoring. And now they've got that as a center of attention going, yep, see? And so that it absolutely made the other wives go, yeah, we are right in thinking that. We're gone now. We don't care. But and he's probably saying, yep, you were right at thinking that. Huh. And I got to go through the endowment house anyhow.
Yeah. Our kid is so funny. Katie, we should create a drinking game on how many times the chapstick comes out. Okay, if anyone knows anyone at Chapstick, like we haven't done any brand deals or anything like that, but we would absolutely do one with Chapstick because I literally don't live without it, and neither does Olivia. So Olivia has them very much too. It's just something, I don't know why, it's just something that I always have stuck with. Let's see. The photographer wasn't leaking it. They were probably just sharing it, which is totally normal. They're the ones who hired the worldly photographer. Very true. Very, very true. This one too. She was a good sister wife until she got the legal marriage. Then she did not have to suck up to the other wives.
No,
that's 100% true.
Yeah.
She was in control. She
instantly moved from the 4th wife, the whatever, to the lead wife, and she knew it. And so then all gloves were off. What could any of the other ones do? They have zero power, and they were watching right from the dating part of this, Cody spending the majority of the time with Robin. They lost their family get-together time. They lost everything.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Somebody wants to know, was Cody excommunicated? As far as we know, no, he was never excommunicated. It was a mutual parting of ways. They both just left. The AUB was happy to see him go, and he was happy to be gone. Yep. So
the only time that you're excommunicated is if you just leave, then they're like the garbage took itself out. So they're not going to hunt them down. I'm surprised that he even took a phone call from the leadership to tell him that, hey, you lost one of your wives. But they're not going to go through the process if the family's dissipating. They're not going to double down on it and say you're excommunicated unless you're me, I guess. So you're leaving? Nope, you're excommunicated. So.
Yeah, it's like, you can't quit, you're fired. Somebody said that on one of our lives. You can't quit, you're fired.
And I just don't think they wouldn't want the AUB, the minute that these guys became popular, got on the show, the AUB started to distance themselves from the Browns. And so they're not going to add to, if the Browns reach out to them to talk to them, they'll do that. But they've distanced themselves. They don't want anything to do with that. That the AUB's process on it is they disobeyed what the prophet said by going onto a show, and this is what happens to it. So
Yeah.
they felt like that Cody has been turned over to the buffetings of Satan. The wives have, and they've washed their hands clean of him. The only way, the only way that they wouldn't probably excommunicate him if he wanted to come back and get some more wives, as long as he's paying tithing. I'm sure they would
It's probably true.
bring him in with open arms. Just, hey, don't put this on the show.
He would have to pay tithing, though.
Catherine
That would
Perry.
be, you can buy your way back into the AUB.
Exactly.
You can buy your way back into pretty much any polygamous religion that I know of. And yeah, if he wanted to go back, he probably could at this point. Let's see. Great Value is a Walmart brand. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking it was a no-name brand, but that makes sense. Let's see. Thank you so much, Catherine Perry, for that super chat. We really appreciate that. Again, we can't put that.
Notice Mel counts chapters.
Oh, it says notice Mel counts the chapsticks because us homeschoolers get confused after
Chapters.
10. Oh, chapters after 10. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. He took the call from the, oh, did you just see this one? Oh, he took the call from the leadership, but wouldn't answer any of Mary's calls leading up to it. Oh, and that's the thing is people are like, how did he just get how did Mary get a release for abandonment? Well, he didn't even bother to show up. He knew about the meeting and he didn't bother to show up. And so in all aspects, he really did abandon Mary.
And the whole reason that he took the phone call from the leadership was to, fine, Mary's gone. Yeah, give her a release. But if Christine asked for one, she doesn't get one. I didn't abandon her. So you can't give it to her under the abandonment. Well, she hasn't even asked. And that just was probably got him in the cross. She hasn't. She just left.
She doesn't even care to get a release. That probably pissed him off more
pissed
that she
him
didn't
off
even
way
bother
more.
to get one
Yeah.
than if she would have gotten one and he would have denied it. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. We're going to wrap up 2.5 hours is a good, last time we went 3.5 hours. And thank you guys so much for watching that video and sharing it. So if you like what we have to say, please feel free to like, share, and leave us comments. We've really enjoyed the chat tonight. It's been fun now that we are figuring out how to get it up on our screen. But yeah, we will go next week. We will do chapters, I believe, 15 through 19. We'll get us through as many chapters as we can in the 2 hours. We'd like to kind of keep it to a 2-hour range because I feel like we start losing people a lot if we go too much longer than that. But we'll go over those next Tuesday night. We're doing them every Tuesday night, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So feel free to join us. Again, if you haven't followed us on Instagram, we do more daily things. I'm trying to do more daily updates on Instagram and little stories. All of our social media handles are in our page, our front page on YouTube. Also, I wanted to make an announcement about Holding Out Help. I've been trying to put their link in all of our videos. So if anyone ever wants to, go to that website, see what they do. They help people leave polygamy who don't always have the same luxuries that the Browns have.
Yeah.
Not everyone who leaves polygamy gets to have the luxury of just being able to leave. And so there's women who leave with their children with no shoes on their feet, no clothes on their back. They have what they have on and that's it. So Holding Out Help gives them free legal. They give them therapists who are trained to deal with specifically this type of religious indoctrinational abuse.
Cult behaviors.
Right.
Cult.
Because not every religion is the same. And so this is the therapists are really trained in this area. So Holding Out Help helps them with that as well. So I'm trying to put that link in every one of our videos. So please feel free to check that out. And we are still on season 4. Yep. We're watching the show for the first time. And we're going to be putting that out. We're on episode 3 still.
4-3.
Yeah, we were going to get to that, and we will. We won't take this long, I promise.
I do want to answer this one
you want to
before we
answer
go. Yeah.
Oh, he wants to.
So that photo was up and framed in the bedroom prior to being a huge painting. I think Robin does a lot of these innocent jabs. Absolutely. I kind of wanted to go back to the ring with the diamond in it. I'm sure she had heard about that. I'm sure these guys have all talked about it and stuff like that. And so that was probably intentional to show her, look what Cody is doing on
my
behalf, knowing that it would sting for Christine. So they're very intentional at making little teeny tiny jabs, showing that he cares more. He's more attentive.
And he did it without me asking.
And he did it without me asking, and you had to ask. And that's something that it is, that she is doing right from the get-go. That's why Christine said it in here. The kids were kind. I assume their mother had taught them. That was a little bit of a jab back, because she isn't kind. A lot of things she was doing, they do these little stabs with a smile on their face, but there's an undercurrent on that. And so that ring and that diamond, it was a stab. The picture's a stab. They're doubling down, and especially now that she doesn't have to even pretend that she likes the other wives, she can continue to get everything up there. And now she's taking it on. Like, they want to call me a sacred cow. I am moo moo. So
moo moo, buckaroo.
Yeah, but she's doubling down with her stuff. So.
Well, and when our kids went to school with a bunch of other polygamous kids, they all went to a little private school. We didn't know polygamous kids were going there. We took our kids there. One of the girls said it perfectly. What is up with you guys? You hate each other with a smile on your face. And that's what you're starting to see some of that. You see that with Robin. She hates these women with a smile on their face and acts like they're the best friends. So that's what happens. So thank you all again, and watch for our videos. We're going to be busting out a bunch this week. So we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for making the live so great.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.